Aaron Hogan, Rod Babers. Hook 'em up. 1019 AM 1260. The Horn.
All right, off the record before the top of the hour. More on all the top stories. But right now, Rod, can we go to the Vaqueros hotline?
Yes, sir.
He is played 4 years as a bruising running back for Iowa State. Played for Paul Rhodes back from 2010 to 2013. Scored 14 touchdowns in his career. Now he's a football analyst doing great TV and radio podcasts. Number 32 when he played for Iowa State. We go to him to talk some Iowa State, Texas. He is on the Vaqueros hotline. Jeff, good morning, my friend. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's good to be on. Talking a little Longhorn Cyclones for maybe the last time in a while.
Yeah, good bet. It's the last time. Now, you played for Paul Rhodes at Iowa State, and we do appreciate you doing this. But give me your thoughts on Matt Campbell and where he's at with this program, what you've seen as an alum and someone who played for that program. What have you liked about Matt Campbell, and what does you think Matt Campbell still struggles with that program?
Yeah, what's amazing is, as a program that – here's a fun fact for all the Longhorn fans. Iowa State had, prior to Paul Rhodes getting there, had 3 bowl wins of any kind ever prior to Rhodes getting there. And since then, the tides really changed. Now, Rhodes for his first few years got everything we went to 3 and 5 years. We got some wins. We, had some impressive things happen, but then sort of trailed off. And then when Campbell got here, Iowa State's been to 6 bowl games now that they're bowl eligible after beating BYU last week. They've been to 6 bowl games in 7 years, which is about as many as they've been to in the entire history before. So Iowa State has not been a good football program up until Coach Campbell got there. And the thing that I really like is when you're trying to build a program from where Iowa State's program was, which is you're hoping that, when you look at a team like, let's say this Texas team came to Ames in 2006. You're looking at that film going, we have to play perfect to beat them. Well, the confidence of success over time makes it so that doesn't feel like you have to play perfect to win because, as anyone who plays sports knows, if you think that you have to play perfect, you won't be, which makes you play worse. So being able to play relaxed and confident that you have enough talent, that you have enough success, you have enough coaching and preparation that you can just go out there and play and win. I think that's what Coach Campbell has done well and has brought to Ames. I think the thing that is a little, I would say as an alum and as a someone who likes watching Iowa State win, early season, they a lot of times will take a bit to get going where the Iowa game comes to mind. It's always the second week of the season. He's lost every game against Iowa except one. And so 1-6 against Iowa isn't fun, but by the time you get to October, November, they're at their best because they consistently get better over the season. So I'd like to see more September success, but 6 bowl games in 7 years and being in competition for a conference title in the end of the season, you can't really complain too much.
Hey, Jeff, it's pretty, rare and out of character for an Iowa State player to talk a little trash, provide some bulletin board material before the Texas game, but it happened in this instance with Jared Hufford, I believe is his name. What are your thoughts about the trash talk? Is this just the quiet part being said out loud by the Iowa State players, more the messaging that's usually in the meeting room and now being thrown out there to the media?
Well, I mean, look, if you were playing Texas and you were in Iowa State, what would you think? Like, you can't, as an underdog, you can't go into it thinking like, man, these guys are so good, we can't ever beat them. So you have to have, no matter who you're playing, you have to feel that confidence that you're going to beat them. And like I said, Coach Campbell's kind of brought success to go with that confidence, so it's there. So, in any game against any dog versus a favorite, especially one that's as historically strong as a Texas or an Alabama or those types of programs are, you do kind of feel that. Usually you don't say that to the media because you don't want the other guys to hear that, but I don't think that that's necessarily a rare thing. Independent of Texas, Oklahoma, whatever the other programs are, like the feeling of these guys are, I think the line that sticks out the most to me in that kind of bulletin board material is these guys are humans too. And I think that's how you sort of have to look at it as a guy who is a dog. And, Hufford's he's a senior, so he's been through these before. Feels confident. I wouldn't want to give these defensive tackles more juice to the game because they might be the best in the country, but that's still something that, I would say that's the feeling that you kind of have to have. So, you just usually don't say that to the media.
Yeah, say it out loud, and I'm sure it's all over the Texas locker room as well, which is good. And Iowa State nearly won here last year. I think they felt like they should have gotten out of Austin with a victory. 27-24 was the final. You couldn't agree more about Matt Campbell and early struggles, but he cut his teeth at Mount Union, and he had a playoff there. I came out of the high school ranks, and you're always trying to be your best in November and December and beyond at those levels. So maybe that's the obvious reason or the reason, but at the same time, they do get better, and this team has gotten better. And so any Longhorn fan there that kind of dismissed them after they got clobbered by Oklahoma in early October better be paying attention to the improvement they've made here into November. Where have you seen their best improvement, Jeff, here as they approach the final 2 games of the regular season?
Well, I mean, it's very much on the offensive side of the ball. The defense has always been pretty stout. Now, the game against Oklahoma was a little bit of an outlier. They had the secondary that Iowa State has. You probably toss a coin between Texas and Oklahoma, or excuse me, Texas and Iowa State as far as the best secondary in the conference, because between TJ Tampa and Malik Verdun and I mean, there's probably 3 to 4 NFL guys in both secondaries. So against Oklahoma, they were down 2 of them. So you're out a couple guys that are going to be your studs. So with the defense being fully healthy, when they've been fully healthy, they've been good all year. But offensively, the first 3 games of the year, they were trying to run. Iowa State was trying to run what they ran last year, because they have legitimately 5 tight ends that can play. But the offensive line isn't this like mauler offensive line. They're more technical, so they're really good in pass protection because they can communicate pretty well, but they're not great in just, hey, get out of the way, we're running the ball. So when they tried to run this like power offense with young tight ends, there's not enough space. You have young players everywhere. After the Ohio game, they looked in the mirror and said, okay, what is this offensive unit actually do well? And they started spreading everything out more. They started throwing more on early downs. They started giving RPOs to a redshirt freshman quarterback that they normally don't do. Like, they reserve those for like a Brock Purdy type player. So the offensive and the openness of the offense, that's kind of like at its peak. Now, granted, you're playing Kansas and BYU, and they lost the Kansas game because of a couple weird plays, but in the second half of the Kansas game into the first half of the BYU game, which is basically the last 4 quarters that the starters have played, because the second, it was 31-7 at halftime against BYU, so they didn't really do anything in the second half. So the last 4 quarters that Iowa State's offense has played, they've scored on 11 of 13 drives. So This offense has got to the point where they're clicking really well, because the young guys have matured enough throughout the season. So, like, here's another crazy statistic. Because the whole gambling thing this past offseason, they lose a quarterback, a tight end, a running back, they lose all this depth. They've had 1 upperclassman receive a carry this year. That's not a senior. That's 1 person, junior or senior, 1 upperclassman receive a carry this year, and that was a kicker on a fake field goal. So every offensive player who has received a carry this year has been an underclassman. And if you look at the receiving core, they will graduate exactly 0 wide receivers. They will graduate 1 tight end. So this group is so young, but they've gotten through the course of the season substantially better at just understanding what they can and can't do, and seeing reads and understanding where the field is. So that's the thing, the offensive side of the ball, that they've gotten so much better throughout the year.
Tell me about this young running back, Abu Sama III.
So he's actually from my high school. So Southeast Polk.
Wow.
He's the same, the left tackle. So Southeast Polk, they're going get a little Southeast Polk shout out here. It's a suburb. It's a kind of a rural suburb of Des Moines. And the guys that they've graduated off of that team in the past couple of years. So Caden Proctor is the starting left tackle at Alabama as a true freshman. He was on the same team as this kid, Abu Sama, who's a running back for him. And then the year before that, the starting safety at Iowa, his name is Xavier Longpa, he was at Southeast Polk. So the past 2 high school teams, they've graduated 2 5-stars, and then this kid. So To know about Sama, the Drake Relays are the biggest track and field meet in the Midwest. So Illinois, Minnesota, whatever. And high schoolers, if you qualify, are allowed to compete in there. He has the high school division Drake Relays record for a long jump. He is a 26-foot long jumper. So that explosiveness that he has just oozes out of him. So the thing that he doesn't quite understand yet is where to press his track, or when to make the cuts necessarily. But if he gets in the open field, again, he's a 26-foot long jumper. I think they did like someone puts like a speed tracker thing on him, and you can say, how fast he's running. He was jogging at 21 miles an hour. So like this kid is an explosive athlete, and as he gets to mature and understand like how to play running back and not just run around, he's got some serious Breece Hall vibes. Now I'm not saying he's going to be Breece Hall, but he's got some serious Breece Hall vibes.
Yeah, that'll be a problem. As Rod said, last few games he's
He looks
averaging
good
like
on film,
10
man.
yards a carry the last couple of games, and 11 of 13 scoring drives. They've gotten hot at the right time, and the defense has been good and now healthy, and that's what the Longhorns will challenge or face coming up on Saturday night in Ames. It'll be a blackout. It's going to be a rabid crowd. Hey, Jeff Woody is with us, former running back at Iowa State, now doing great media and podcast. You can find him on Twitter, by the way. He's a great, easy follow. JWoody32 is where you're going to find him. Hey, Jeff, when you look at Texas, obviously they're top 7 team in the country. They're 9-1. What is most concerning for you in the matchup for the Cyclones against this Texas team?
It's a defensive line, man. Like that's the thing that gives me as an Iowa State as an analyst, more than an Iowa State fan, as an analyst, the damage that the interior specifically of that defensive line. That's the thing that it's kind of no one else that Iowa State has played this year has that much talent. Like you look at the offensive, the other position groups that you'd say the wide receivers. When Iowa State secondary has been healthy, they've been really good. And so it's going to be sort of a, you punch me, I punch back. Xavier Worthy is going to catch a 18-yard pass, then TJ Tampa is going to break one up. And then, that's going to be a fairly fair fight that I feel confident in the talent of the secondary to at least hold their own. It's the defensive line of Texas, like watching that Kansas State game, I think Kansas State ran for like 1 yard per carry because they just couldn't. There's so much push that comes from an interior offense or defensive line. So you have to execute so well everywhere else because you're not going to be able to move those guys around. I think that's the thing that, like in years past, Texas has had skill players. Last year they have the best running back in the country. But you didn't have a defense that was able to match that. This defense for Texas, especially the front four, is that's the special part of this team to me.
Yeah, it's hard to match up with, and that's why Rod asked about the guard, talking about we've seen better, kind of psyching himself out for it, but it should be fun. Yeah, we were getting geeked over that K-State game, and they held that group to almost nothing on the ground, had to abandon it. If that's the case, Jeff, and if they have to abandon the run game a little bit here, can Rocco Becht, what can he do with his arm? Because I know last year they were 9 of 15 on third down in this game against Texas. We're able to convert a lot with Xavier Hutchinson. Can they win this game through the air? Does it have to be a ground game with it for Iowa State?
Well, they can't just like step back and throw it 55 times, but they do have the ability. They're really talented across the board. I think the guy you want to look out for is Jalen Knoll, who actually had a big game last year too. He's a guy who he is our Jordan Whittington, where a guy who you look at the other guys are going to have the big 70-yard plays, but you look down at the stat sheet and you're like, oh, geez, he got 9 catches for 85 yards. Where'd that come from? Like, that's the kind of play that Jalen Knoll does. And so he's a guy that is going to be – they try and motion him and match him up against safeties, against linebackers. And then the other guy that's really starting to come on strong is Benjamin Bramer. He's a true freshman tight end. He's 6'7". He's like 245. Once he gets a little bit more meat on his bones, he's going to be an NFL prospect type guy. They're probably not going to just straight up throw it down the field, but if you can, their goal is to probably sustain drives to the point where you can get, instead of having a one high safety, you push the other one back because he has to, and then you can potentially start running the ball. So I would imagine they're going to be more of a pass to open up the run situation, and by that I mean getting an outside linebacker matched up on Jalen Knoll, or getting a safety matched up on a 6'7" tight end. Like finding those matchups where you can get 6 yards on first down on a hitch or on an interior route or body somebody up. So they can do that. The only problem with those is when that doesn't work, now the clock is stopped and it's 2nd and 10. So that's the thing that they're going to have to fight against, is making sure that you are efficient when you do that, which they can be, but they can also that backs you into a corner pretty quickly. So yes, they can, but you got to be, the details get a lot tighter in that game plan.
All right. Hey, Jeff, we appreciate it, man. That's good stuff. The insights behind the Cyclone curtain we like to get from a former player who watches that team very closely and knows ball. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much, man. Appreciate doing it. We'll check in again soon when we get a chance, okay?
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Jeff Woody. Follow him on Twitter at JWoody32. former Iowa State running back, now doing analysis for TV and radio and podcasts, all kinds of good stuff. Learned a lot there, Rod. Learned some stuff.
Yeah, man. We talked about how this offense is trending, and I love the stat he gave that if you take away the second half of that blowout win they just had, and basically the first half of their previous game, and you take those quarters where the starters have been playing, they're trending in the right way. They've scored, 11 of their 12 drives, he
Touchdowns
said?
on 11 of 13 drives. That was
Yeah.
against Kansas and against BYU last week in Provo. That was 31-7 at the half.
So they're trending.
All right, we'll come back. When we do, we'll go off the record. Certainly more. Rod's got another rant in the 9 o'clock hour. More on that conversation of this Iowa State football team who's 2 losses in the Big 12. Texas won. So critical matchup coming up Saturday night. Off the record coming next. It is off the record. Be a short one because of a good conversation with Jeff Woody talking Iowa State football. They play Texas tomorrow night. But off the record, Rod, this is for real. This procession for the fallen officer, Jorge Pastore, is massive. There's like 750 vehicles in this. So the delays are pretty extreme.
Yeah.
For good reason. I mean, they've been showing on the local news here this procession of cars going through downtown, and it's been going on since
hours, right? We're talking about a couple hours now. It seems like
well, it left the Mopac and the funeral home at about 8 o'clock. So
yeah, they've been following it all morning.
But when you're talking about 700, 800 cars, I mean, this is police officers and first responders and fire. I mean, I saw the Manchac fire truck there in this procession to pay their respects and honor the fallen. So this is a very, very long procession. So, if your car, try to go somewhere and wait it out. Certainly if you're stopped, get out and salute or say prayer or whatever. But it's gridlock all through Austin because they're coming right down 35 Rod through downtown, going right past APD headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
And at APD headquarters, you have all of the APD officers out on the sidewalk saluting the procession as it goes by. But it's very, very long. So be advised, they're headed to Dakota. So if you're in that direction out near the airport or headed out to Circuit of the Americas, that's where this procession is coming. But, man, it stretches a long, long way through the streets of Austin, Texas right now for the fallen officer. Rod, it's obviously a very somber note. What do you have on Off the Record, my friend? I wanted to get that out there to the folks who are maybe heading out right now.
Snoop Dogg has decided to give up smoke, he says, on social media. He said, after much consideration and conversation with my family, I've decided to give up smoke. Please respect my privacy at this time. That was on his social media account. I don't believe it. I think
he doesn't have something medical going on that he needs to stop.
Well, smoke could mean a lot of different things.
I think it's honestly, I'm not lying about this. I think it's a Super Bowl commercial. I think he's getting ready for some type of promotion. This is like a marketing campaign. I think, but maybe he is giving up smoke. Ty, you said smoke can mean different things.
Yeah.
For Snoop Dogg, what does it mean other than marijuana? For Snoop.
I mean, I know for a fact he used to carry that smoke on him. You know what I mean?
It could mean a pistol, right?
Well, yeah.
Heat, smoke.
I doubt he's talking about giving up.
I'm just saying.
I
doubt he's. I bet he's still smoking weed right now as we speak.
I agree with that too. I think he's still smoking weed too. I don't know. I think something's up with this. This is not. He's trying to fool. He's pulling the okie doke here, and I don't know what's up with it. But maybe it's. Listen, Willie Nelson gave up smoking marijuana. I think he was still doing edibles, but that was a health issue. I don't know if Snoop's talking about a health issue here. We'll see. I don't know. Put that out there on his social media. So Snoop Dogg not smoking. Man, the times they are changing if that is the case.
All right. So, yes, honor the fallen today. Good stuff on that. Also, I saw this, Rod, where Apple, the iPhone, they're finally, like if you're an Android user and you were treated like a second-class citizen because of the Apple, the blue text and those kind of things, Apple is putting out an update later this year, next year, that will fix those things. So if you're an Android, if someone texts you with an iPhone, you won't feel like a second-class citizen.
Apple will change theirs then.
Yeah, that's what Apple is
Apple
changing.
Apple wants exclusivity. Apple doesn't want you to be like them.
Apple is changing its text to stop screwing over Android users, it says.
Now, Apple wants exclusivity. They don't want to be like Android. They like being different.
Yeah, but now they're coming more to. They're gonna bridge some of those gaps that have been going on. The blue text, the blurry pictures. Oh yeah, they're coming to help.
Well, Android has a better camera than the iPhone.
I've never had an Android, but
Android's got a better camera than the iPhone. I'll admit that too.
My son has one, and he loves it.
Yeah, it's a better camera. It is.
All right, we'll be back. We have 2 hours to go on a Football Friday. It's Hook 'em Up with Ian Rodby. incredible, the outpouring and the response and the folks who have come from all over to be a part of this procession to honor the fallen police officer George Pastore. Pretty amazing to see the number of vehicles and all with their lights flashing. It's quite a scene you never want to see. It's been over a decade since the Austin Police Department's lost an officer in the line of duty. But just a tragedy for sure, but amazing to see the outpouring. All right, Rod, so we roll on. It is a Football Friday. That makes it a what, Mr. B?
It is a Freak Flag Feel Good, Fake It Till You Make It, Ric Flair, Woo! Football Friday edition. I'll hook him up with Ian Rod B.
There you go. There you go. We'll get into Rod's rant coming up. I had a great one in the first time around in the 7 o'clock hour about Dak Prescott putting himself into the MVP conversation and the opportunity to continue to do so. Speaking of national conversations, up this Texas says this Texas team is getting disrespected on a national stage. No one believes this team is good enough still. People still think Alabama is clearly the better team now. We have to make it aware even locally that after a 9-1 start, no one believes Texas is good enough. Well, I responded to the text that, their own close calls as big favorites against U of H.
Good enough for what?
Well, yeah.
That's what you said. Good enough for what? Good enough to win the Big 12 championship?
Yeah.
I think all of us believe they're good enough to win the Big 12 championship. Good enough to play for a national championship?
No.
That's a different conversation. So good enough for what? That's what I would say.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their own close calls and their own poor play in lulls have led to that conversation, and it's a fair conversation. Because I'll say this. Last week, Texas was up 26-6 on TCU, Rod.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know what happened from that point on, right?
Yeah.
It became way too close a game. So I was doing the in-game watch-along out at Fieldhouse at the Crossover, where we did our pregame show. My buddy Charles out there gave us had this little room. By the way, we had our first drunken disorderly during that the other night.
Had somebody removed?
Well, so I was doing this. So if you've been to the Fieldhouse, there's the outdoor, but then the indoor, and right across from the indoor bar where it's the adult area.
Oh yeah.
They have a room that's got 2 TVs in it.
Conference room.
Yeah, you have a meeting room.
Yeah.
Do meetings and things. You could reserve it.
Yeah.
To do watch parties or a birthday party or something. So Charles was nice enough to let me have that. So it's got great internet. I've got 2 TVs up and I'm watching. So I'm doing the watch along with Inside Texas. Hopefully you'll watch along if you're not at the game or have an opportunity on Saturday night. It's YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to On Texas Football and you'll find the watch along. Rod joins us. Ian Boyd, Jerry Hamilton. It's just really good analysis of the game in real time.
It is.
But so I'm watching that game, but on the other TV, Rod, I'm watching Georgia Ole Miss. And Georgia's now, again, the number 1 team in the country. And I would say to the Texas fans, if you want to know what a number 1 team looks like, you watch them just pour it on Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss was in their building, and Ole Miss, they didn't stop, Rod. They were playing the fourth quarter like their head was on fire.
Yep.
I mean, every player, whoever went on the field for Georgia, was continuing the beatdown. Mm-hmm. And that's just how Georgia operates. And maybe Texas gets to there at some point in the future. Probably not this year, as you said. But if you want to see the difference, that's it. I mean, Texas went up 26-6 and went to sleep.
Yeah, they have just lapses and lulls, and it's okay. Like I said, they're a flawed team. You guys are asking for perfection. You guys are asking for domination, 4 full complete quarters of football, and yeah, you're obviously you're entitled to your expectations. But the truth is, looking at the sample size of games they've played so far, and we're 10 games in, guys. My theory that this is a team that has spectacular, brilliant stretches, but also in the same game are going to have a stretch just as long, but it's going to be a lull and kind of a lapse, a distracted stretch for the team. That's who they are. That's what they've proven to be. Now, you didn't really have that in the Bama. Actually, I take it back. You did have it in the Bama game. They started out like that, remember?
Yeah.
Remember times they put the ball on the ground and dropped passes early on?
It was the early part
They
of
started out like that, right? Wyoming, they started out like that in the fourth quarter. They finished the game. So my theory actually has held true that this team, they're just, you know what they are? It's a great skit about this on Seinfeld where Jerry's dating he's dating a girl. And when he sees her in a certain light, she looks very attractive. She's hot, smoking hot. She's sexy. But then he sees her in like different light in different venues, and she looks unattractive. She doesn't look as good. And he's trying to figure out what's going on. He talks to George about it, and George says, I know what's going on here. She's a Two-Face. And he's like the Batman villain? He's like, if that helps you, all right, but she's a Two-Face. The Longhorns are a Two-Face. They give you both sides. They're like the Batman villain, all right? They're like Harvey Dent. Sometimes you get the good, and then you get the bad, but you're going to get them both. in the same game.
Each
and
game.
the problem in 3 of the last 4 games is, instead of like earlier in the season when your bad stretches to start out the game, like Wyoming and Bama, now your bad stretches toward the end of the game, and your really good stretches at the beginning of the game. And instead of you having that really spectacular stretch that separates you from a team in the fourth quarter, like you were doing in the first half of the season, now that spectacular stretch is getting you a 20-something point lead in the first half. Your ugly stretch is allowing them to get back into the game, but the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams, Cardi B sides making the same size, but is, and you should be comforted by this, you're making clutch plays in critical moments to win the game. Now, are you trending toward taking an L, walking the tightrope of disaster and destiny? Yes, no question. Yes, no doubt. But I'm still going to acknowledge the 9-1 season, and I'm going to acknowledge they are not a complete team, and they are flawed, and they're not going to play a full four-quarter game. They may, but if they do, it's the exception to the rule, and this team, what has shown me that their kind of character is that they're a clutch team. They make clutch plays, but they're also going to have that really ugly stretch.
Well, and I think
it's going to happen.
That's to the Bobby Bowden quote we've talked about a lot this week. Thinking when you take over a program, the 4-year plan, you're going to get smoked pretty good early while you rebuild it. You're going to lose close, then year 2, then year 3, you're going to win close, and then you take that next step and start dominating teams.
Exactly.
And so Texas is winning those clutch
You're
games.
year 3 now.
Yeah, they're year 3. So you're going to and the reason they're winning in critical moments is they're a very veteran team, right? They've got these leaders that step up in the biggest of moments, offense, defense, and they're versatile, as Sark says. They're tough and they're gritty, and that's a good thing. But, the next step is to pour it on. Because somebody said, well, Georgia was struggling with South Carolina in the first half. The one thing I'll say about Georgia, their struggles were early in the year as they were trying to figure out what they were. But this is the concern for Texas right now is Georgia is getting better and better and better, which is what Kirby Smart teams typically do. Did Texas peak at the Alabama game becomes the concern.
Matt Campbell teams too.
And Matt Campbell teams get better. And that's what Sark is trying to – that's why you could tell he was so intense on Monday. It kind of reminded you of the K-State week, knowing how important this game is and how losable it is if you're not on point. If you, as Sark has said over and over, and we'll hear him coming up and behind the burnt orange curtain again, if you don't possess the ball and take care of the football and execute on offense, this team will just – this team at Iowa State, they won't out-talent you, but you just heard the former player Jeff talking about it, Jeff Woody, that they've got some explosive young players that have come on as the year's gone on, and they will, if they possess the ball and you can convert third downs, they'll choke you out with time of possession. Texas has to get off the field like they weren't able to do last year, and then they've got to be careful with the ball on their side because they don't give up a lot of explosive plays. So penalties, these pre-snap, 5-yard penalties Texas has been prone to of late.
Come back to hunt you.
They come back to get you because then you got to punt and you give the ball back to them, and then they try to take a bunch of clock. And they don't care if they beat you 13 to 10. They're fine with that kind of game. Texas wants to be in the 30s, obviously, but they don't play there very often at Iowa State.
Yeah, and just like you said, that's the thing with Texas. Texas is winning week to week, but I think Longhorn fans acknowledge they're not getting better week to week.
No.
And that's what the argument that's being made nationally, which I don't agree with, that you would have Bama leapfrog Texas.
I don't agree with that either.
At the end of the college football playoff rankings, because they're actually getting better week to week, which they are. I think I acknowledge that. And I acknowledge Texas is not getting better, but head-to-head has to mean something. All right? We're going to get to the point where head-to-head means nothing. So I think that's the argument, and that's the frustration also with Longhorn fans is that, man, is this team getting better week to week? Getting back to your point, you have to ask the question, did they peak in the Bama game? And I don't know if it was peaking as more so it is they were supremely prepared. Right, and their preparation was magnificent because they had prepped for months for that game, and everybody was prepared mentally for that game. What that game showed us what they're capable of, what their ceiling could be. They're that good. They can beat when they're playing like that. They can beat any team in the country.
And now we see glimpses of that within each game.
Yes, and then but you also see the floor.
Yeah, the other
you
side
also
of the face.
you see the floor of this team, and you go, so they can beat any team in the country when they're on, but they also can get beat by damn near any team in the Big 12 when they're off. Yeah, exactly.
Houston almost beat them. Houston hasn't beat anybody.
Exactly, right? You're like, whoa, it's TCU like that,
Houston hasn't beat anybody but Baylor at this point.
Yeah.
That's
the problem with it. But listen, they're trending toward an L, but like I said, I do trust them in clutch critical moments. But it will be tested in this game with no Jay Brooks, with an hurt quarterback in Quinn on the road against a really good defense. And he kind of told you what was going on in Oklahoma game. People kept asking me, what happened in the Oklahoma game? Why did they get blown out? They had some key injuries in that game. It was early on in the season before they found their group on offense. And also they had some they had a pick 6 in that game. That's
They did
turnovers.
early in the game.
This is the team that doesn't turn the ball over as even early, and so did Jeff Woods. They take care of the football. Sark talked about it. They're tied for the Big 12 lead in turnover margin, and they're the fewest amount of turnovers in the Big 12. So when they turn the football over, for them, their formula, that's disastrous. It just kills their formula. But Texas can recover from that because Texas is an explosive team. But they take care of the football. That's part of what their formula is: ball control, taking care of the ball, converting, and just keeping the damn ball as long as they can.
That's
Maintaining
exactly
the
their
ball.
game plan.
Yeah.
And now they've become a little more dynamic offensively of late. So that's the challenge for Texas. We'll have more on it. Just don't leave us hanging. E, what was the drunken disorderly? Well, at the end of the live stream, the game was about to be over. When I think we were wrapping it up, Jerry and I, and these two drunk guys came in the room. Like I thought I had locked the door. And they came in and they're looking at me like I think they were lost. And they look at me. I'm looking into my screen. I'm watching the games. I'm talking to Jerry Hamilton and you about to pass it off to the post game. And they're like, "Woo!" They start getting in the shot, and I'm on the air, so I'm trying to I got nobody around me. There's no bartender, anybody to look at. So I'm like, you guys got to go. I mean, go.
I'm live, guys. This is a live
then they
stream.
see themselves on the camera.
No,
they're like, "Oh yeah, what's up, bro?" Oh. So if you were watching that, you saw it. And,
that is great.
Fortunately, one of the guys wasn't as drunk and was able to pull his buddy and say, "Oh no, we shouldn't be here." I'm like, "I'm live on the air, guys. Come on now."
That is great.
But the one guy goes, "Am I on TV?" I'm like, "There you are, my
live
friend."
stream, baby. Hey, it's live. Anything can happen when you're live, man. That's the way it goes.
Great.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
It was fun.
That's
but
fantastic.
I'm surprised it hadn't happened more, but they'd had a few, and I was like, "Well, call the Ubers, guys.
They
call the
were
Ubers."
Hey, they were Longhorn fans. They were happy about that win. That in the end, that dramatic win.
That's right. They just won the game, beat TCU with that 35-yard
game-winning goal
pass.
line. Yeah, you got it. Oh, yeah, right. That was
A.D. Mitchell.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's get Rod's rant number 2 of Friday.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real.
You ain't keeping it around!
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
Oh, you've done it now. It's time for Rod's rant of the day.
Hold on to your butts.
All right, let's talk about the gorilla in the room, which is the loss of Jonathan Brooks. And there's no doubt it's going to be devastating for the Texas offense. You could argue he's their MVP, and you're going up against one of the better defenses in the Big 12. I think one of the better defenses actually in the country, and one of the pioneers of the high three down, John Haycock, will be trying to match wits with Steve Sarkisian. So we heard from Sark earlier in the show from his media availability, his Zoom call with the media yesterday. He was asked about the running back room and how they're going to respond to more adversity, losing Jonathan Brooks, now having C.J. Baxter, a freshman, Jaden Blue, Keelan Robinson, other guys having to step up, Savion Red as well. Here's Sark talking about the running back room responding to the loss of their leader, Jay Brooks.
Nobody likes seeing their brother go down, so I do think there was a sense of hurt for him, knowing of what he'd put into, play the way he had been playing this season. But I also think they feel like, man, opportunity. These guys work really hard too. They've been training since January too. And so now making sure that they're putting themselves in the best position to be successful. We're fortunate in that, CJ really started the year for us. So I think his level of comfort, him being healthy is big for us. Keelan's been exposed to a lot of football. I think Jaden Blue's been chomping at the bit for his opportunities, and Savion's been in some critical moments for us. So, our offense is going to remain our offense. And like I said, I think we're fortunate that we have some guys that have some experience, that have playmaking ability, that are all really versatile backs. And so we'll go into the game and navigate it accordingly as the game requires.
There's Sark talking about the running back room and how they need to respond, and they do. The Iowa State defense, it's pretty stout. They have a lot of hybrid players, some linebacker body types playing in the secondary who come downhill from the third level as run force defenders. Bo Frailer being one of them, 6'2", 220. He's a big dude. They got Malik Verdon is 6'4", 225. They got some really good players in the secondary who are really good in terms of forced run defenders, they've only allowed 4. Count them 4, 20-plus yard rushes the entire season. That's tied with Georgia, to give you a little context on that. They also, if you go look at it, they've allowed 35 20-plus yard plays all season long. So 31 of them have come through the air. So this is a defense that doesn't allow a ton of explosive plays. They're really assignment sound. And one of the benefits of having a guy like Jay Brooks, his skill set, he was really explosive. He was breaking off long, explosive, chunk yardage plays. And Texas needs to be explosive because they're not good in the red zone, 125th in touchdown percentage in the red zone. They're not necessarily good in short yardage, and they're not necessarily good in red zone. And they're not great at third down either. And how do you still remain prolific when you're kind of subpar in all those really important major categories? They're extremely explosive. And Texas, at any point in the game, can break off an explosive run or an explosive pass. That'll be limited in this game just because you lost Jay Brooks and also because your quarterback is dealing with an injury. That's going to be huge to see if Texas still have that explosivity in this matchup versus Iowa State. Sark was also asked about comparing the running back rooms in this matchup with Iowa State. Here's Sark talking about the strengths and weaknesses of comparing those running back rooms.
Oh, well, I think this, I mean, CJ is, he's the more bigger physical runner in a sense of, just in his stature. Blue is obviously a little bit more shifty and has real explosiveness and long and top speed. But we recruit players that are not one-dimensional players. And so like we saw against Kansas State, Cedric Baxter is more than capable of taking the ball the distance and creating explosive plays. Both guys have excellent hands and can catch the ball out of the backfield. There's a real kind of, blueprint of runners that we look for, that there's prerequisites that they have to be able to do. They have to be able to run between the tackles. They need to be able to run on the perimeter. They need to catch the ball well out of the backfield, have natural hands. And then they need to have high football IQs because we ask a lot of our runners, and that's where the pass protection stuff kicks in. And both those two guys have those traits. They just do it a little bit differently, and their stature is a little bit different. But they're both more than capable of excelling within our system that way.
All right, that's Sark talking about the running back room, and yeah, it's going to be an all hands on deck. They got a money ball this thing, and I do wonder how pass heavy Texas is going to be. I think they may be pretty pass heavy. Now we talk about Iowa State's secondary being part of their strength, but that secondary, it's a strength of theirs because how complete it is, and they help in the run game a ton because they have these bigger DBs. But I do think you can take some shots against them, and I do think you can have success in the passing game, manipulating matchups in spread sets, namely empty formation, I think, against that 3-high, 3-down, which we know against Sark's offenses are less effective, less efficient, and less explosive versus 3-high, 3-down defenses. It doesn't totally in my opinion, match up in terms of being able to cancel out Sark's offense. It's not that effective, but looking at all the numbers, it does force Sark's offenses into out of their comfort zone. It forces them to have to go operate by different methods than Sark is accustomed to, which is why I think all of the numbers, they drop. Less effective. The third down percentage drops off. Completion percentage usually drops off for the quarterbacks. All those numbers seem to drop off a little bit when they face a 3-high, 3-down. All right, let's hear from Sark about a bigger issue. We'll probably do this next segment because I know we're running up against it, but Sark was asked about the sign-stealing controversy that Michigan's involved in. We know now that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have decided to accept the suspension. So we're probably at the tail end of this controversy, at least for now. But Sark was asked about it and asked about what he thinks could be the remedy for the sign-stealing issue in college sports right now, in college football. So we'll get to that coming up later on here in the 9 o'clock because it's pretty lengthy. It's about 2 minutes, but it's a pretty impassioned plea by Steve Sarkisian. So we'll get into that later on.
Good stuff in the rant. Longhorns and Iowa State. If you missed it last hour, it'll be podcast. The conversation with Jeff Woody, the former running back there who played for Paul Rhodes, but gave some good insight on what Texas will deal with. You can deal with it. You just got to be on point, Rod. You got to be execution's a key word here, right? Execution on third downs, execution on first and second down to stay out of third and long for both teams. But then, taking care of that ball, taking care of that football becomes paramount for Rod. What was your thought on, he talked about the running back rooms and running back stepping up.
Mhm.
How do you see the running back allocation? Is there any way to predict how, is it C.J. Baxter
yeah.
for 80%, or is it?
Yeah, Baxter's gonna get most of it. He's your in between the tackles guy, right? He's the guy that can hurt him with the power running game. So I think CJ Baxter gets, like you said, 65, 70%. I think Jaden Blue deserves some carries, and I think you got to use him strategically. You got to use him in the right way. On the edge, he needs a running start, so pitch, toss, those jet sweep motions that Sark rarely hands off. You can hand it off to a guy like Jaden Blue, and he can beat defenders to the edge and to the corner. So I would, if I'm going off who's going to get the bulk of the carries, I think you're right, CJ Baxter. Second, I'd probably throw Jaden Blue out there to get the second most carries now with Jay Brooks out. And then kind of a split between Keelan Robinson and Savion Red, because Savion Red can take traditional handoffs and also run in between the tackles. And that's something he's been doing essentially as the Red Cat package, but you can actually hand it to him as a traditional running back. And I think he can help you with the power running game. And then Keelan Robinson can be another complement to the perimeter running game and get to the edge, because like Jaden Blue, he's got elite speed to beat defenders to the edge. So I think if you're using those running backs in the right way, Red and Baxter as your power backs mostly, Keelan Robinson and Jaden Blue as your perimeter speed backs mostly, I think you can win. You can win with that running game and money balling that approach.
All right, like it. That's the game plan. We'll go more behind the burnt orange curtain and talk Texas and Iowa State, the other games around the Big 12 of import. We'll dive into those. Ty and I have to go head-to-head with 5 picks. Ty had a great week last week. I collapsed.
Ooh.
So we got to get back on the horse, man. Got to get back on that picking horse. We'll have that as well. But a little round of Who Said That before the end of the hour as the procession continues through our great city. So be advised of that. Let's come back and pick up those conversations. Let's hook them up with Ian Rod B.
Aaron Hogan, Rod Babers. Hook 'em up. 1019 AM 1260. The Horn.
Oh, geez, Rod, you're just giving the deep dive intel on Iowa State. This says, after listening to Rod, I'm not convinced we're going to lose.
I don't think we're going to lose.
I think they're going to win the game. But
I think they're going to win. I just think it's going to be a tight game. I mean, think about it. Let's think about the strategy and the scheme for a second, right? Sark has faced now, this will be the 5th team, right? Actually, it depends on, it'll be the 6th team, actually, that has a history majoring or minoring in the 3 high, 3 down defense, right? That's
3-5 stack.
Yeah, that's the dreaded defense that Sark's got to solve. And the reason he had to solve it is because he's going to see it so much, right? You're talking about half the damn games this year. You've seen it. Wyoming, it was their base. U of H broke it out as a tendency breaker. Brent Venables, he's studied it, and he has used it multiple times, so it's in his bag. TCU, K-State, and now Iowa State run it as their defensive identity, right? It's part of their defensive DNA. So you're talking about this is going to be the 6th team that has major and minor and utilizes a 3 high, 3 down. Think about those games, guys. You got 4 one-score games this season. They're all against 3 high, 3 down defenses. You've had 2 game-winning goal line stands against teams that were running the 3 high, 3 down defense. You're basically blown out everybody else. Think about it. You've had 5 games versus 3 high, 3 down teams so far this season. And 4 of those have been one-score games. And the one that was a double-digit win was a 10-10 tie going into the 4th quarter with Wyoming.
Yep.
And you blew them out. You beat them out 31-10 because you scored 21 points and beat them 21-0 in the 4th quarter in scoring. So people come out and say, yeah, 3 high, 3 down. There's nothing to it. You can say there's nothing to it. But it's definitely the best way to match up against Sark's offenses. It just is. It's shown that being that effective. That's why U of H broke it out. And that's why this stretch has been a tougher stretch. Now, like I said, it doesn't totally make his offense moot. It doesn't cancel out all the cheat codes. Sark's a damn good offensive and a brilliant offensive mind. But if you're looking at all the stats, all of the stats drop, and all of his offenses are less effective, less explosive, and less efficient versus 3 high, 3 down defenses. And it shows. Third down defenses so far this year versus those 3 high, 3 down teams, 34% conversion rate. And Iowa State won't be different. It just won't be because they've struggled on 3rd downs versus every defense that runs the 3 high, 3 down. Hell, against Wyoming, you were 4 of 12 on 3rd down. U of H, you were 3 of 12. Against TCU, 4 of 13. Against K-State, you were 2 of 15. OU, you were 5 of 14 on 3rd down. Noticing a pattern?
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a close game. I really do. And the only way it gets out of control, for Texas will be turnovers if they can force Rocco Becht into some mistakes and score defensively, special teams potentially. Other than that, I think Matt Campbell. And again, we talked with Jeff Woody last hour, and yes, he played there, so he's got he's a kind of a homer for Iowa State, but he knows that program. And he admitted what we said. They're playing their best football right now. Some of their young guys have grown up. They struggled early because of the gambling scandal. It cost them their starting quarterback, starting running back, their starting tight end. So, they've had to work in young guys, and then they had to kind of tailor the offense to fit what Rocco Becht does best, not what Hunter Deckers was all about. Mm-hmm. So, again, those are all just – no one's saying they're going to lose the game. They're favored by more than a touchdown, but just be advised be ready for another nail-biter.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be freaking out when it's the 4th quarter and it's a one-score game with 5 minutes left.
So, and I think what Rod is saying that I'm listening to, and maybe – because you always say this, Rod, and I've said it for years. The game turns out to pivots however you consume the game. Mm-hmm. Is really important about how you went into the game, what your expectations were for the game. So you're already hearing from fans who expect this to be a one-sided blowout. Yep. You're saying don't anticipate that. So don't call Monday or text Monday and say, why didn't they blow them out? Exactly. Texas sucks. You know what I mean? We're telling you this could be a very close game. And if they blow them out, that'd be great. But there's circumstances that are going to lead to them blowing them out. And, we had Jeff Woody talking about how did Oklahoma beat them by 50-20. The 2 of their best players in their secondary didn't play in that game and were hurt. Mm-hmm. You take 2 guys out, you get them back. They're
turnovers. They had a pick 6.
Pick 6.
Yeah.
They're both NFL caliber players. And again, it was a younger, different Iowa State team. And that's just the conversation. Let's be real about it. Let's be adults about the game. And, Texas survive in advance. Keep winning these football games. But you just laid it out perfectly. The 5 games against this particular defense been one-score games.
Yeah, and they've been up, right? They get up big in these games,
And they don't play 4 quarters of football.
and they don't play four full quarters of football.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying that Texas gonna. I'm not trying to be the doom and gloom guy. I love what this team is doing. I'm celebrating the fact that they're 9-1. I am just trying to keep Longhorn fans from driving themselves crazy, expecting this team to be something that they are not. They are clutch, and that's what they are. They win in clutch moments. But the truth is that we've seen this team, and now with the sample size, you can expect that low because they're not perfect and they're flawed, and you can exploit some of their flaws. But I think Texas against Iowa State, I think you're going to get the best effort, right, from Texas, and I think it'll be enough to win the game. But don't be upset if they don't win it by covering the spread. This is not a team that's going to cover spreads. This is not a team that's going to blow teams out. And we said this before the U of H game, and you guys were mocking us, saying, man, why y'all trying to make us scared of U of H? And I was like, we're not trying to make you scared of U of H. We're just saying they match up well with Texas. They're pass first. They got twitchy receivers on the outside that are fast and twitchy, and they got a quarterback who's been in that system, all right, that air raid system for like 6 years, basically playing in that system for as long as you can play in that system. Just like Dylan Gabriel was very experienced in that veer and shoot system because he been playing in that system for so long. And turns out, Donovan Smith looked really good. I think he had like a career game throwing the football versus Texas. And then I think the BYU game, we told you, don't worry about it. BYU just doesn't match up well with Texas. Just doesn't match up well. And in the K-State game, we told you, K-State doesn't match up well because they're a run-first team. But if they abandon the run game, watch out. And what happened? They abandoned the run game and made plays on Texas. Told you last week against TCU, I said, listen, guys, they got twitchy, fast guys on the outside, and they got a young quarterback who's mistake-prone, but he can sling it. He can sling it. And if they go pass first on you, they going to make some plays.
Well, and
they made some plays.
That's concerning to me as an observer, close observer of this team. I think every good coaches like, Chris Kleiman, Matt Campbell, they kind of know they always have that card to play if they have to. Like they don't want to. They want to go in with their game plan. Mm-hmm. They want to try to execute it.
Oh, yeah.
See if they can handle Sweat and Murphy up front. See if they can establish and
that's true.
Slow the game down. But they kind of always know.
U of H did that too, remember?
Yeah.
They came out running it. It's like,
we kind of know, if we need to, we can go to that. And we feel like we can execute pretty well. We did it a lot last year in this game. So again, it's also the final time Iowa State will play Texas, maybe ever, likely ever. If it's not a bowl game of some kind. And so, there's going to be the blackout, and this is, we'll see. I think Texas can win, but I would anticipate when I'm doing the in-game watch-along on Inside Texas that we will be quite nervous in the fourth quarter. There will be some time.
That's all right. That's okay.
That's what I would say.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
And there is nothing because, again, recalibrate your expectations going into the season. You thought, I think most of us had 10-2. If they win this game, they'll be 10-1. I mean, they're exceeding the expectations. But, yes, I know it's frustrating because that's where they are as a program. It's a lot better than it's been in 15 years, but it still is where you are.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy the experience, man.
It's like the kid who's been failing his math test for all year, and all of a sudden you get him a tutor. He's not going to start making A's. If he gets to C's, you're feeling good. Like,
feeling
damn,
great.
Sweet.
Yeah, but what you let was he made an A on that early quiz right after you got him that tutor, and then now he's making B's, and you're upset, and he's like, well, Mom, I was flunking last year.
Right.
That one Alabama game, it really changed your expectations as a parent of what your son
exactly right.
and daughter is capable of.
And it was his hardest quiz, right?
Yeah,
or her hardest quiz.
Yeah, it was.
It was the hardest one. You got an A.
You got an A. What are you doing?
Well, now you get B's. Well, Dad, it's better than F's.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening. And you know what? I think that's why I said I have
and
now.
As a parent, you're like, okay, if we keep on this track next year, we kind of caught up. Then it'll be A's.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about A's
or C's. That's what you don't want, right? You don't want to go. You don't want to go from B's to C's. You want to go from B's back to A's. But that's the whole point. Is this team trending toward a C and a
so if you take Sark and put him in the parallel to the parent role here, Sark's trying to rebuild this program, y'all. And let's not be kidding about him. The entire staff. He got here and it wasn't pretty, and they went 5-7. But it's trending to where you want it. But, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater here of what is happening. We're watching a program turn.
Yeah.
And give credit to, as you talk about the clutch, the leadership of this team, the culture of this team, the guys in the critical moments who, this is their last year, Rod. They're not going to the SEC. They're going off to the NFL or their careers are over. Jordan Whittington's of the world. These are the ones that are winning these games for you. And let's hope it's becoming the culture of the program, and then they're going to leave that, and that's what they've established. Maybe a Big 12 championship on the way out, put a trophy in the case, but also that these leaders have established, okay, now let's build on that.
Yep, and then pass it down.
Yeah, pass it on down
to the young bucks.
Pass it on down.
So they know the lineage, and then
and
they
you
can
grew up in a
establish their own
program
culture.
very similar to where this is right now.
Yeah.
You got to Texas in
99. And it was on the process of turning it around.
That's exactly right.
Matt got there in 98, and then that was his second class. And I remember that moment. It was like around 2000, 2001 where we started to have that turnaround and the cultural turnaround. And now we started to pass it down to other guys. I remember passing down the lessons I learned to Nathan Basher and to Michael Huff, and watching those guys become great
and it led
leaders.
to a champion. Look, I would agree with those who say, well, you should be able to do it faster in the portal era, which is true.
That's true.
And the Longhorns, Sark hits the portal right this offseason with the recruiting class. It'll take another step forward, I believe that. But yes, they still have to prove that they can, run the table here and finish this thing off. Sark himself, as a coach, has never won 10 games in a football in a regular season year. So that a lot to still accomplish for Texas. No one's predicting them to lose. Just hoping the fans that are paying attention understand what the expectation should be. Plan on a close game.
Longhorn fans don't respect opponents enough, and that's okay. Like
I think
Longhorn fans do not. I watch film respecting. I watch film as a coach. This is how coaches watch film.
Well, you were a player, so you watch film and respecting. This guy could beat me. He may play for Iowa State, but that guy's good.
Yes, coaches watch film with paranoia. They always like, man, how can they? Basically, watching film with the intent, with the mentality. How can this team beat me? How can they beat me? How would they beat me? And that's how I watch film. So I'm not trying to freak people out, but that's how I respect opponents. Even after Texas was beaten by Oklahoma. Remember how Longhorn fans kept reflecting on how they lost the game and wanted to give no props to the game plan of Oklahoma?
Right.
Sometimes you got to respect your opponent. And Longhorn fans, I've noticed this. I love y'all, but y'all have no respect for opponents. You got like 2 opponents every year y'all respect.
Well, that goes
everybody
back to
else. Everybody else a scrub and a jag that you're supposed to dominate and whip like they stole something. It's like, no, they don't. Like Mac Brown would say, they're on scholarship too. He's got a scholarship.
Well, we want to keep the parent parallel going, and then we'll get a timeout. But it's like the parents that think their kid's going to get a D1 scholarship, and it's like, what, man?
You better be happy. He can't even walk on. What
Is he having fun playing? He's starting.
Seriously. Yeah, it's all right, man, but respect the opponents.
The parents should know their kids, too, what their kids' ceilings and floors are.
Very true. Longhorn fans, sometimes they can be unrealistic about that.
Have you watched them for the last 15 years? Come on now. Be happy. Be happy with this. Hey, we'll come back. But that's what fans are for. That's what it's all about. That's the fun. That's the fun. Hey, we come back. We'll have some fun with Who Said That, Rod, on a Friday. Great audio from around the sports landscape. Dr. Greg Eckert, folks, I mentioned earlier I failed my fast food test yesterday, but I had a great time out at Dr. Eckert. Had a deal out there. Our Jacob Standard, our digital editor, and I were out there taking some video of the great people at Dr. Eckert. We're going to put some stuff out for them and for our socials, talking about my journey through my teeth restoration and from what they were to what they are. And just, I know think of the dentist and it's like a 4-letter word. I don't want to go to the dentist. I promise you, once you get to know Dr. Eckert and he becomes your Austin dentist, you're going to like going to the dentist. I mean, it's got cool music playing, the people there, Diana and Anna in the front, they're just the nicest folks, and they make it relaxed for you. So again, if you have some challenges with your mouth like I did, your teeth, I was a teeth grinder, so I ground my teeth down, and then I didn't like smiling because I had to smile so big to be able to see my teeth that I had ground down over 40-plus years. And we rebuilt them and restored them, and now I can smile normal and love my smile now. And Dr. Eckert gave me that. He can give that to you, whether it's a restoration or permanently secure dental implants. Maybe your teeth are further gone and you're thinking about dentures now. Well, don't do that. The permanently secure dental implants are such a better way. They can do it in one day with the proper planning. You go in and have a brand new smile. Go in with one and come out with the one you want. That's what it's about with Dr. Greg Eckert and his team. And they're right there off of Far West. Wonderful people and team, and Dr. Eckert's just the best. He's a passionate Horn listener as well. Go talk to him and just call him 345-3166. That's 345-3166 with Dr. Greg Eckert and his team. Your Austin dentist and my dentist. Dr. Greg Eckert with a U. Hey, coming up in our fabulous fifth hour, we will get into Steve Sarkisian's passionate plea for headset communication in college football. We will also go head-to-head, Ty and I, with our 5 picks in college and pro football.
Ty's hot, man.
Ty got hot last week, no doubt about it. Had a great week. I did not have.
You know what, Ty?
I had some bad beats.
You know what, Ty got hot? Ever since he got parlayed, boom, he's been hot. Got that parlay you forgot all about. Got parlayed, then had a hot week. Just saying.
There's no doubt Pingy can do that for you a little bit. You know what I mean? Get you going, get you rolling.
Throwing it out there.
Hey, man, he puts you, just
got your mojo going.
Feel more confident. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, of course.
Well,
who wouldn't?
I must be struggling because I had a bad week. I didn't know Kansas quarterback was going to get down to the third string guy. I mean, come on, man.
That was ugly.
I didn't know the Washington player was going to drop the ball before he crossed the goal line. Like, what are you doing, man?
That was crazy.
That cost me. That killed me.
Ooh.
Bad beats, man. Hey, Ty, let's play some audio. I did a poor job. I had things picked out, and I never sent it to Ty. But
I sent a few.
You sent a few. So play some Who Said That, Gerard, here this morning.
All right, Ty. I sent you a few of these. You can just dial up whichever one you want to, and we can just play Who Said That.
Instruction from either you or what he's heard from other people. Make sure it's all kind of straight in his head.
I don't know anybody I've coached who's got other coaches from outside the building.
A throwing coach in Jacksonville. He's got a guy who he grew up with.
Yeah, those are like strength and conditioning coaches, but in terms of throwing, they just work on the mechanics of throwing. But that's.
Well, those guys are, they're quarterback coaches. I mean, Dan Minucci's the guy who trains quarterbacks.
Oh, I understand. I don't think you understand. Coaches in this building, we don't sit in, you don't talk mechanics all week. You prepare them for a game plan. That's what you do in the season. You get them ready for the offense that we're running, the defenses that are going on. When you work to improve your footwork and arm strength, just like a wide out in the offseason, they go to improve how they drop their hips, how they do quickness off the line. They do cone drills, stuff like that. But when you're here and you get it by position coaches, it's about football and preparing for the game.
There you go. Who said that?
It's your guy Shano.
I thought that was really interesting because it kind of confirms something that I've always said. There are some things you fix in the off season. There are off season projects. During the season, you only got so much time to spend game planning for your opponent, and there are some things we just not gonna fix during the season. We ain't gonna fix your foot. I said this about Quinn last year. We ain't fixing your footwork during the season. We ain't got time. We got to get the dub. It's about game planning and preparation. All right, we ain't got time to fix your footwork. We ain't got time to fix your mechanics during the season. That is stuff for off-season work.
Yes.
We got plenty of time. All right, during the season, we got one goal, the win, the dub. That's it. We ain't got time for all that other stuff about your mechanics. That's on you as a
It's
player.
funny, I can compare that to golf, right? Rory McIlroy talked about that. That the golf season was so crowded
Yeah,
that you don't fix swing problems during the season. You're just
Nope.
trying to win tournaments.
exactly.
And so you warm up, you get repetition, you find that you're good. That's the off season. But golf right now doesn't have an off season, so they're like,
so how
where,
do I fix?
where am I supposed to go work from all my
fixes?
games?
Yeah,
my
that's a
big
great point.
fix.
That's a great point.
That's the same thing, same kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think that's a great point. Great call. And
That's why everybody has
this-
now their own quarterback coaches. That's what that guy was saying. He's
Well,
like,
that's good.
do y'all need a quarterback coach with the 49ers? He's like, no. They do that in the offseason on their own time. With this organization, we worry about winning games, and we'll address technique and we'll address fundamentals in the offseason with these coaches. But during the season, my coaches are about game planning and preparation for the opponent.
the next team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I? Was that media guy trying to?
I don't know what he was. It was a good conversation though. I like
was.
the conversation.
Well, I mean, there's remember Tom Brady got at odds with Bill Belichick
Over his
over Alex
Guerrero, right?
Guerrero.
Yeah, his guy.
He got too involved in all the day-to-day operations.
TB12, baby.
Yeah, TB12. Hey, can we go? By the way, it's Tom Brady's winning that debate. By the way, day
Yes,
by
he
day of
is.
just how important, how much that was him and not Belichick.
You damn
I'm not
right.
taking anything away from Belichick as far as a coach. I know he's a good one, but damn, it's getting worse and worse now in New England. Hey, can we play this? This is a really good football coach in the NFL, Rod. Give me some. Who said that?
Who said that?
I do have one injury announcement to make. Unfortunately, on the negative side, Mark Andrews has a very serious ankle injury. It looks like a season-ending injury. So our prayers will be with Mark. Nobody cares more about the team and being there for the guys than Mark Andrews. So it's going to be hard for him, but we're going to be there for him all the way.
That was John Harbaugh. A lot of Harbaugh last night. A lot of Harbaugh. John Harbaugh talking
It was
about
all Harbaugh all the time.
Yeah, that Mark Andrews injury. It's devastating because there's no doubt that is Lamar Jackson's favorite target.
Well, that's that hip drop roll tackle thing that no one likes.
Yep.
And, you can't make every tackle illegal at this point, but that's dangerous when you drop all your weight, and wrap around a guy, and then your body weight falls on his ankle.
Yeah.
And that's what you heard from the coach. That's very serious injury.
Yeah, it's the same premise of the horse collar. Why it was outlawed, it's the same premise. You're pulling the guy back, all that weight back, and then they're lunge, they're going forward, and then you could easily pop a knee.
Well, and Mark Andrews was running towards the end zone, so the linebacker's trying to prevent him from going to the end zone.
Grabs his hips
and
from behind,
stop his momentum,
and then goes dead weight, just drops all your weight down to the ground to pull him down,
and just collapses onto his ankle.
Yeah,
something's going to pop there. It's just not made to go that way.
It's ugly, man. That's a season ender. All right, I got another
Well,
one.
I'll say if he's that severe, he walked off.
Well,
he limped, but he walked.
Yeah, it did. But then John Harbaugh was like, "It's serious." But
well,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's a
how
tough
you know,
dude.
As I say, yeah, he's a tough mofo, man, for real. All right, Ty, sent you a couple of more here. Who said that?
The only way you're going to get better is by having the courage to ask a question in these type of situations. So when you guys are sitting there, don't just sit there like a lump on a log. Have a great question, grow up, and learn what it is to ask a tough question.
Okay, Ty,
Seriously.
you can cut it off. Because I think he cusses at the end, maybe. I think he might cuss at the end.
That was pretty adamant.
Yes, I apologize, Ty. I sent you that when I see that he might cuss at the end there, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Who said that?
I know the voice. I can't get it. It's right at the tip of my brain.
It's
Who
actually a great lesson, too. We were just talking about this with the media. It is head coach Ed Cooley with Georgetown offering advice to young reporters, saying, ask the question.
Georgetown High School?
Georgetown.
Oh, basketball.
Head coach.
Basketball.
Yes, sorry. Georgetown head coach Ed Cooley. He was saying, don't be thinking just because I'm a little ignorant, I shouldn't ask this question. He's saying, no, ask the question. You're only going to get better if you ask the question. You're only going to learn more about the game when you ask the question. Ask the question. I'll give you an answer. It may make you feel stupid, right? Because I'm gonna give you maybe an obvious answer, but that's the only way you're going to get better as a reporter. It's a great lesson.
Well, especially with reporters that are covering one team all season.
Yes.
Ask hard questions.
Ask hardcore questions.
We're going to be here all year, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And the coach will
That's a great
respect you
lesson.
more for it. They'll respect you more for it.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't come in here, a lot of times we're young reporters, and you will kind of lead to a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just ask a question.
Just ask it. If it's stupid, okay, oh well. You learn something.
All right, we come back. It is the fabulous fifth hour on a Friday, Rod. That makes it a...
It is a freak flag feel good, fake it till you make it. Ric Flair, woo! Football Friday edition of Hook 'em Up with Ian Rod B.
And it's always... dang. Sorry, Rod. I've been I left the channel here in our home headquarters in Onion Creek, Texas on the procession of the fallen officer, and now it's on the View. I mean, how did we end up on the damn View?
It is on the View. Is that
they
changed up the cast on the View actually too a little bit?
And that lady there, Joy's still on there.
Yeah,
Joy Behar.
Yeah, she's a staple.
I don't know
but
who's
don't they have
left.
Is Jay Cutler's ex-wife on this thing or not?
Oh, I don't know. I don't ever see this show. I really don't.
I don't either. I'm like trying to look at the cast. I don't watch the View.
Is Whoopi still there?
I don't. No.
Whoopi's gone now too.
No,
Yeah,
Whoopi's still. She must be taking the day off.
She's not there. She's not there.
She must have taken a day off though.
I don't know.
That's what
I
Ty
don't
said.
know. I think
she might be
she's-
like on vacation or something. What did she get?
Yeah, they just got.
Yeah, I think that is Jay Cutler's. Let me look her up now.
Christian Cavallari.
Yeah, I think that's her.
His ex-wife.
I don't know. I
Because
gotta
that's
check.
who I want to hear from on all things important. I understand. It's just a morning gap.
That's
fest.
who you want to
I get it.
see. Oh, that's great.
So we got a lot going on, man. It's been a busy morning. We've got the Harbaughs last night with Jim Harbaugh and the Big Ten at odds, and obviously they've closed their investigation. Jim Harbaugh's going to serve the 3 games, as we said in my read of that, and you lawyers out there can weigh in. Feels to me like they kind of thought they were going to lose today, and it's in a hearing. And didn't need anything under oath at this point, Rod. And if this is the deal, if this is the most the Big Ten was going to do, because I think once Michigan got assurances that this is it, we're not bringing any more, then okay, we can live with that.
Yeah.
Because there was an immediate thought that this was for now, and we're going to keep coming with our investigation. He'll serve the 3 games, and it's mostly symbolic. He can't be on the field during the game, but he can coach the team all week long, and he can even travel with the team to Maryland tomorrow. He just can't go to the game.
Yeah.
And be on the sideline. Maybe he can go sit with Connor Stallions in the stand somewhere.
We have no idea what Connor Stallions is. No idea.
But you know, a lot of people heard that and thought, well, there's no more investigation. No, the NCAA will continue their investigation into the program and the allegations. The Big Ten's done with theirs, and they've issued their punishment.
Yeah.
And it placated some of their, the rest of the conference and the teams and the coaches that were so upset about it. And now he'll miss his 3 games, and they can live with that.
It seems like a largely symbolic punishment, unless he's not allowed to contact or have any communication with the team staff or players, or anyone associated with the team staff or players on game day.
Yeah.
Because then that'd mean like he literally has got to just sit in his house and just watch the game like a regular, just a fan or a spectator, that he can't be there or communicate with them. I haven't seen details on the suspension, and I want to know if he can communicate with him. If he can watch the game and text him, hey, guys, we need to start blocking this guy. We need to start doing this. We need to start doing that. Can he text him adjustments? That would be like a weird
I'd like
thing.
to see that legal language. You can direct message.
Yes,
DM
exactly,
them.
right? Like, it can only be an email form. Because the text message would happen in real time. No email. You can get it later. I don't know how they would do that, but I know that Jim Harbaugh is a control freak, and he's a guy that likes to look for loopholes, all right, ways around the rules. This guy that admitted that on Halloween as a kid, he would go and change Halloween costumes and hit the same house multiple times.
So go back around.
Smart kid, by the way, all right, but finding ways outside the rules.
Looking for the
for
edge.
loophole. He's looking, and I ain't mad at him for that. But I wonder if that's going to be kind of a stipulation of the suspension, because now that he knows he's got to be suspended for the Ohio State game too, he's going to sit there and watch the Michigan-Ohio State game, and now we have some input.
Yeah,
what's going
drive
on?
him crazy
on halftime adjustments, that kind of stuff. So I'm really intrigued by that. But to me, it's just basically, I love that Michigan went through the stages of grief publicly, for all of us, all right, to witness. At first, it was denial. This didn't happen. Fake news. We don't know what the hell these people are talking about. Then after denial, it came a little bit of anger. They were mad. All right, a lot of the Michigan faithful were mad. Right, basically that it's not a big deal. And they started, everybody does this. Right, Michigan is not the only one doing it. Ohio State did it. This other team did it in the Big Ten. All these teams are doing it. So it was some finger pointing going on. That's kind of the bargaining of the stages of grief. Right, that's the bargaining. And then came the depression, which was the interim coach when he's crying after they win the game. Seems like Jim Harbaugh either on his deathbed or he's going to jail. And it's like, no, he's just potentially going to be suspended for a couple of more games by the Big Ten. But he's crying, dropping F-bombs. Jim Harbaugh is on TV talking about they're America's team. They're being persecuted. And then finally, the last stage of it all, last stage of grief, acceptance. Finally, you know what, guys? Let's just accept it, the suspension. I think we did something wrong here, even though we don't believe it was that bad. It still was outside of the rules.
And I will just say this to add to that. You're right on. all the histrionics from the Michigan fans. I mean, not just the fans, like Desmond Howard on ESPN last Saturday and
man.
Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
And now the coach. You guys all look like fools because the school just said, "Oh, we're out.
Yeah.
We give up.
We're not defending it."
No, because we're going to fight this. We're going to fight this.
We're
We're
gonna
going
sue.
to fight. We're going to fight this. We're
We're
getting
gonna
due
litigation.
process. Yeah, we'll take it.
Right. Exactly.
All those guys are going, "Oh man, I thought we were fighting this thing."
Because they haven't seen the evidence.
Well,
and Michigan's seen the evidence, probably.
Oh, sure. And the lawyers have seen the evidence.
Yeah.
That's who matters, right? The billable hours. But the lawyer's like, guys, we're going to lose this
We're
case.
gonna lose this case. Yeah, it's
And
obvious.
you don't want to put up there under oath here at this point, guys.
Because then if you push this thing and it does go litigation, that evidence is getting out.
Well, and then
they want that evidence out.
Then right after the announcement yesterday from the Big Ten that this is it, there was mysteriously one of their co-defensive coordinator dropped all his social medias, and there's reporting locally that he was the conduit to Connor Stallions to the coaching staff.
He was the middleman between the coaching staff
to
and
obviously
Stallions?
provide plausible deniability to Harbaugh. That this co-defensive coordinator was the one.
So he was the one meeting with
did
Connor Stallions.
know about it.
He's the one that
But again,
met with
that's alleged. But that's got to be vetted, and that's where the NCAA will continue to investigate. So we'll see. But again, Tony Batiti, the Big Ten commissioner, was in a tough spot here. He doesn't want to derail a blue blood program on their way to maybe a national championship.
No.
He's got to be. I mean, that's a cash cow.
No question.
I mean, Michigan, if they win tomorrow, Maryland is going to win their 1,000th game.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful there. That's. I mean, consider them Texas of the Big Ten. If Texas were in this same spot, I mean, there'd be a lot of pressure put on the State House and State Capitol, and the heaviest hitters at UT would be pushing for this thing. Don't derail this run, y'all. We'll get to the bottom, and you can understand that part of it. Same time, he had to do something because the rest of his conference was howling that something needs done. So he did it, and it's mostly symbolic, and it's a punishment. And now they can finish their season. The NCAA can finish their investigation, and Jim Harbaugh probably will ride off to the NFL. And we'll see.
Michigan's probably going to beat
go
Ohio
Pete
State.
Carroll. Go keep Pete Carroll out of USC and land somewhere softly.
Chicago. Chi-Town,
maybe.
Chi-Town's looking like it right now.
I keep because there was a debate yesterday. I saw one of these TV debates about Bill Belichick. Like any of these coaches, why wouldn't you want the Chargers job?
It's a great job.
The minute that dude finally gets whacked, this Brandon Staley, that's the job.
Quarterback
I know the salary cap's not great on defense, but you can fix that pretty quick. That quarterback's good. People say what they want about Justin Herbert. I think he's been maligned with a bad coach here. That guy can throw the ball. That guy can play. They got Eckler. They've got weapons. They just drafted Quentin Johnston, the kid out of TCU. They think is going to develop into a really good receiver in time. Then they got players on defense.
They do. They spent more
Derwin
money
James
on defense.
and Bosa
than any team except for one in the last 2 years.
So if you're Harbaugh or you're Dan Quinn or you're going to be one of these commodities,
Dan Quinn.
I get Chicago where I'm going to have maybe the first and third pick of the draft or something, but that team's pretty much built. I'm living in Los Angeles. I got great stadium to play in, great facilities. I don't know. Cheap owners though, but all the teams, the jobs that may come open are going to be cheap owners, except for New England. And that would be if there is a mutual parting of the ways in New England. That is fascinating how they go about doing that. I mean, it's Tom Landry here. We're one of these coaches, right?
You're right.
This is Don Shula. I mean, how do you say goodbye? We'll do it nicely. And I don't know. There was the report a couple of weeks ago by Mike Florio that maybe a team like Washington would try to trade for Bill Belichick and trade for him because you may be tired of him, but we like him because we've been running around. We're a new ownership group that's trying to win the fans back.
That's true.
That's
crazy because that would be wild because the Washington organization. I want to say they did that with Lombardi. I would say they did that with Vince Lombardi too, like at the tail end of his career.
Yeah, he left Green Bay to go to Washington.
And
he ended up dying there.
And but there was kind of the same premise. They were like, we need a proven commodity, a person that fans will trust and everybody likes, and it was Vince Lombardi. And they could be doing it again if they go after Belichick. It's very similar.
Somebody said I thought ESPN reported that the court threw out the case. No, the court dropped the case the minute that there was. This is like a plea. Right, between the Big Ten and Michigan, we came to an agreement to avoid going to trial or go any further. We agree to this suspension that you've handed down in the Big Ten, but the Big Ten agrees that our investigation is over. That's it for us. So at that point, there's nothing to settle in court.
Yeah,
it's over.
And
it's a plea bargain,
and it's kind of a win-win because you don't want to derail, like you said, the Michigan kind of national title run here. It looks like they're on, and for Michigan, they want as few details out as possible. And if you go deeper into this, the investigation, then go to court litigation. Oh man, all the details are coming out.
Right, and then also for the Big Ten, once you go down that under oath road,
everywhere.
Well, and you start discovery and all those things.
Oh man,
it's a public university, so.
Connor Stalions on the record. Testimony and all that.
And they look for the Big Ten again. They get to placate their members, but at the same time, this can go away through the course of January, December and January.
Look at NCAA will take their time.
Yes.
This will be a postseason. Determination by NCAA.
Some maybe this spring, maybe.
Yeah.
You would guess with the NCAA. So who knows where they are at that point? Might be national champions. But Rod, to that point, can we play Steve Sarkisian?
Oh yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah.
So this falls in line with this because our friend Anwar Richardson over at Orange Bloods, you can hear him ask the question, I think, in this audio, because we've all talked about it. Why doesn't college football have wireless headset communication between the sidelines and the quarterback? Seems silly that they don't, but here was how that went yesterday, and pretty clear Sark is all in on changing the current way.
You've coached, obviously, in the NFL, and you're a play caller. Would you like to see helmet radios?
Yes, please.
Okay, in college
everybody
football.
Write an article about why doesn't college football have coach-to-player communication? So I don't have to deal with sign stealing and I spend half my week, changing signals and signs rather than coaching the game of football. So yes, please write an article and ask another question, Anwar. Sorry, you can feel free.
That is the question. No, that is the question. I want to know your thought process on where we're at now, and does it help you as far as developing your quarterbacks, sign stealing, getting them ready for the NFL, for you to be able to communicate for that few seconds, whether it's to your quarterback, your defensive players, whatever.
It all just makes sense to me. It all makes sense to me. There's no shortage of money in college football, clearly. So that whole idea that it's a competitive disadvantage for those that can't do it, or that stadiums aren't equipped to have that type of technology, I don't buy it. I don't understand it. And the fact that it's every time I turn on anything late at night and we're talking about college football, if not the first topic, the second topic is we're talking about sign stealing. And our game is way too good. There's too many good stories going on right now in college football that's at the forefront of what we're doing. It should be at the forefront because I think what was going on was wrong. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be at the forefront. There's too many great stories. There's too many great players around the country that are playing good football, too many teams that are playing good football right now for us not to be talking about those things. We're talking about sign stealing. Like, let's just fix the problem. It's not that hard. Let's get player to coach communication and move forward.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I literally said last couple of weeks ago, I was like, I can't imagine how much time coaches have to spend coding their plays into pop culture images and into hand signs. And not only that, to code your plays and then teach the players all the signs and images, all right, with your plays, but then also to kind of infuse misinformation and fake dummy signals and fake dummy images, also incorporate that into your signaling to try to throw off teams who are trying to steal and decode your message. It's like, how much time are y'all spending on that alone? There's got to be hours. And for a guy like
Sark, half the week.
Yeah, and for a guy like Sark, who's played in the NFL, not played, but coached in the NFL, he's going, guys, this is not even a topic in the NFL. We don't even discuss this at all. It is all about game plan and preparation. And in college, he's probably thinking to himself, I'm spending extra hours a day just coding plays.
Well, and think about every time we talk about this, we paralleled it right back to the baseball sign stealing with the Astros and other teams. And it's the same conversation. Baseball was slow to react. Baseball should have had, because now you know what they do in baseball? It's wireless. The catcher touches the deal, and that's the pitch. And the pitcher gets it. No one else can steal it, and that's how we play now. And it's all. And then they had the clock, and so now it's sped up the games. This is NCAA. Like, think about one of the first real strong comments we heard on this very topic came from Matt Rule.
It was a good one.
Who had just come from the NFL and said, "Guys, what are we doing?
This is stupid.
You think we're training these quarterbacks to be ready to play in the NFL? We're not. I mean, high school quarterbacks are more equipped with this right now. We're teaching them how to read, pin-up dolls and pop culture things.
Yeah, pictures of Beyonce.
Well, think about it for the quarterback. That player's got to learn all that. I mean, that player's got to understand it all and not make mistakes. And the defensive captains, and they've got to be all on the same page. That is a lot of time, and there's
a lot of wasted
and there's
brains
a lot of
capacity.
Then there's a lot of room for mistakes to be made.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was that.
A lot of things lost in translation.
Yeah, I mean, and not all these football players are Rhodes Scholars, Rod. I mean, sometimes they're,
Yeah, and I think that's why coaches have also changed up some of the signals now with images because everybody learns differently, right? Every player, is a different learner, and these coaches are essentially they're teachers, so they probably have incidents where, oh man, this kid's got like a learning disability, or he's not picking it up the way that everybody else is picking it up. I got to teach him differently than I do the rest of them. Now that's part of being a coach, but think about how much easier it would be if we were just calling the play. Yeah. Instead of having to decode and encode everything. It is just, it's madness. But
hey, what quarterback, we're running F right, Y banana.
Yeah, I'm giving you 2 plays. You give you 2 plays. You're going to kill one play depending on what the safety or the middle linebacker does. That's it. That's all I like to tell you as a coach. That's all you have to do in the NFL. But getting back to, something we were just talking about a little bit earlier, it does kind of hurt the development of these young quarterbacks going into the NFL.
Sure.
Because they don't teach it that way in the league, and you're not going to learn it that way in the league.
Yeah, well, they don't, and we know in the NFL they got to learn to go under center more, right? That's one of the you're done, and you're. Well, I'm sure the quarterbacks get to the NFL and goes, oh wow, this is so easy. Why didn't we have this before?
And these sports were at old fan bases, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but say we're talking about college football. College football has one of the older fan bases, demographic wise, because it makes sense because they're
lineage.
Yeah, exactly, right.
These
are legacies.
Sport, yeah,
no question about it. But other sports that have older demos as in their fan bases, or I guess their average age is much older, they tend to have trouble with progressive policies and trouble evolving as a sport. Baseball, older demo as a fan base. College football, golf. Right? It's weird. It's almost like the authorities of the sport, like the decision makers, that they're tailoring a lot of their decisions to that older demo. And what do older people, period, and I'm becoming older too, so I'm not mocking y'all, what do we hate? Change.
You're setting your ways.
Setting your ways, right?
Old dog, new tricks.
Exactly. I don't want to do nothing new, no. And that's why those sports, they have a hard time changing. The NBA has got a really young demo. They change stuff every damn year. So is the NFL. Younger demos, though, in their fan bases.
I think that's well said. Because I've always been advocating on my shows for the automated strike zone in baseball for years and years and years.
Exactly.
And the one argument that I will make, they could do it, equip it, make it happen, and no one would know.
That's a great point.
No one would even know they did it.
Yeah, the discussion.
Just like when this all started, there were so many people who didn't know that in college football you couldn't use headset communication, but you can in the NFL.
That's true.
Right? They don't know that.
You're right.
But in baseball, if you just automated the strike zone, umpire's back there, he gets a red or a green dot, whatever it is, and he calls it strike or ball, you wouldn't even notice it happened. The umpire would still be there, the pitch would be thrown, the call would be made, everything stays the same. So what are you so mad about? That we're getting the calls right, or that we're changing your game?
We're
really not.
The game. You're right.
Well, because look what they're doing now with the communication to be able to call the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody even know that's happening?
No.
Or that it's changed? Unless you play.
Yeah. You
don't know it's changed. It hadn't changed a lick of what the game is.
You're right. Just the discussion upsets people.
Yes.
Right? The discussion about where we should the time clock and the
human
pitch
element.
Clock. Yeah.
You're ruining the game.
But you're right. But your actual product.
It's funny that you brought it to golf too, because that's the Live Tour has kind of upset golf that way. Like you can do things differently, guys, that appeals to a younger audience. You can try this.
You can try it.
You can try it.
Yeah. No, I think
you might actually like it.
You're right. A lot of people. That's a great point. They did not know that you couldn't use headset communication technology in college.
Well, why are the Geico commercials so funny? But you're becoming your parents, right? You ever try to talk your dad into something new? I mean, come on, man. Dad, how about we go this way today?
Those commercials are awesome. Honestly, those are one of the few commercials. If I see it, I stop and watch it.
Of course. But then when you think about it, I'm 50 now, so my parents are in their 70s. I mean, I'm not talking my dad into something new very often.
No, they don't try anything new after like 50. You're done. Yeah. So I think that's a big part of it, man. They just don't want it.
Look at me, though. I'm 50, almost 51 next month, right? I'm doing a radio show from my house. I'm trying to
doing YouTube shows now.
YouTube shows, baby.
He's doing YouTube shows now, man. Yeah, you got to evolve with the times, brother. You have to.
Got to, man. Got to. But you got to evolve at the same time. These rules are silly.
And why does the NCAA? Why can't they just pay for it?
They can.
Because they can always just argue it's competitive balance.
The TV networks will pay for it.
Yeah, it's in the name of competitive balance and it's in the name of the integrity of our game. And then you can say, all right, we're going to pay for it then. So we want to have the argument. I don't know why. Because money is.
Well, you know who should pay for it is the conferences. And if there are certain conferences at the lower level that everybody can't afford it, then okay, then we're not going to go to it. But conference by conference.
Power 5.
All the NCAA has to do is leave it up, states' rights and versus federal rights. We're just gonna leave it up to the conferences. You guys decide what you want to do with it. It's completely fine with us. If you can afford it, pay for it. And all the conference is gonna do is pass off the charge to the TV deal.
But then you got the non-conference games.
Yeah, well, you
so
have
you
to
can say you say yes, you can use it in conference play, but not in non-con. You still go back to the
settle
signs.
that.
Yeah, you got to settle that. And in the bowl,
I think that's pretty easy.
That's easy.
To do.
I agree. Well, that's why the NCAA is just saying that everybody can use it, and we're going to pay for it. If not, we'll pay a portion of it for you.
Well, this is another reason why Alabama shouldn't be playing Tennessee Chattanooga this week. Maybe they can't afford a headset communication.
That is fair.
Well, then you shouldn't be playing them.
That is a great point.
And Texas A&M is playing Abilene Christian. Well, maybe you shouldn't be playing them.
Yeah, you're obviously not on the same level. If they can't afford headset communication, then you can. That's fair.
Maybe don't schedule that game.
I think that's a much broader topic and conversation that we probably need to have.
All right, we'll come back. When we do, the good conversations go on. Ty and I are going head to head. 5 picks. I've got mine made. I'm ready to roll and bounce back.
Ty's been hot.
I had been hot until last week, man. I hadn't had a losing week until this one. It was, I think it might have been a 1-4 one. Gaw. But we'll be back. We'll also have Rod behind the burnt orange curtain one more time.
Michigan's making moves.
Breaking news?
I think so.
Breaking news. Other side. We got it. Coming back.
Aaron Hogan, Rod Babers. Hook 'em up. 1019 AM 1260. The Horn.
That's right, Friday on the Horn. That means football. Friday had a good game last night, 34-20. Ravens now 8-3. Could be better than that if they could close games, but they did last night. Joe Burrow got hurt. Keep an eye on that storyline developing because Joe Burrow, wrist injury, never good. Of course, he's finally back from that calf injury. Couldn't rip the ball. Everybody in Cincinnati, because at 5-5, they still could make the playoffs. But Joe Burrow's got to be healthy there.
That was scary, just the way it looked. The initial one where he's throwing the ball out to the flat and he releases the ball, and then the cringe, like just
Well, now
face.
Now the NFL's investigating the Bengals because they didn't report him on the injury list, but people saw him with that brace during practice.
Yeah.
And then the brace disappeared or the picture disappeared. So we'll see. But yes, a lot of storylines percolating. Also, we told you early because it happened right during the start of the show. The F1 race got off to a terrible start right there. This whole thing in Vegas is it's a risk.
A calculated one.
I mean, the F1 has spent $500 million to make this thing happen. They've annoyed the hell out of everybody in Las Vegas with this thing. And so everybody's asked about logistical questions, how they're going to pull this off. And this morning, because remember, they're having to do these practices, and they're going to do qualifying like overnight to stay out of the way of like basic Las Vegas traffic. And so the first practice was early this morning, and they had to cancel it within 30 minutes because there was a loose
manhole cover
what essentially.
The hell? Like that?
Yeah. Like, what in the hell?
Yeah, which is...
You don't think if one of these billion-dollar F1 cars comes cruising, it's not going to suck up a manhole cover?
And are those things, like, really low to the ground?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Like, really low,
And there's a lot of pressure being, the ground forces that those things are creating to stay on the ground. Look, if those don't have the great ground package, those things will take off like a jet.
Yeah, that's
like you'll be flying.
Yeah,
so
that's scary as hell, man.
So Carlos Sainz was in his Ferrari, and, as I said, there's a video of it. I mean, he looks like something from Back to the Future. He hits this manhole cover, sparks are flying, he's dragging the manhole cover.
And he was all right, right?
Yeah, he's fine. But
Okay.
that's an expensive car.
He said, yeah, that's a great point, too. The owners of these cars can't be happy about this Las Vegas experiment.
It's exactly what it is,
Yeah.
and people have warned them that this is kind of crazy. They take down all the trees, and
Everybody wants to be in Vegas, so every sport. This just shows you the desperation that seems like every sports entity, international, local, domestic, they want to be in Vegas somehow, and it's got to be because it's got to be sports betting.
And they're gonna
sports betting capital.
Supposedly they're gonna tear it all down and have to put it all back up like a month later because there's another race there in like 2 months. And it takes a long time, like y'all were talking about, to set it up and take it down.
I don't want to live in Vegas. Well, and remember,
That's crazy.
I know people will say, "Well, come on, they do street races all the time," because they do have. I mean, Miami was a street race, right?
Yeah.
Around the world, Azerbaijan is a street race, but that's not run by F1. The individual cities, like COTA runs the race. They do all the logistics, and F1 just shows up and races.
And F1 in Las Vegas
they're
have a 10-year agreement, so this is not changing anytime soon.
Yeah, and this is all F1. F1's taken on all the roles: ticket selling, grandstand building, track manufacturing. Like they had to pay like millions to regrade all the streets and repave all the streets.
So they're not going anywhere.
And within the first 30 minutes, manhole cover, bow, shut it down.
Well, I guess
of course fans had all shown up to see the practice round.
It's an investment if you're going to be
you're gonna
10 years. You're going to be there 10 years.
Yeah, that's what they're going to say. We're going to have some lumps here.
Yeah,
it's
going to be an investment for
it's like growing F1 at COTA. That took a while.
It did, and now it's
almost
huge.
went away.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you had breaking news out of the Michigan scandal, Ron?
Yeah, this just broke. Assistant coach and linebackers coach Chris Partridge has been fired at Michigan. Said effective today, this comes from the AD, effective today, Chris Partridge has been relieved of his duties as a member of the Michigan football staff. Rick Mentor will serve as the team's linebacker coach.
Well, maybe that was the guy who went dark on socials because he knew he was getting fired. Follow that story. This says our man CB on the text line doing a great job. Says Carissa Thompson reports Joe Burrow's wrist is fine. He'll play next week.
Well done, CB. Like that. Well done.
Oh, very well
She
done.
put out a statement, too, apparently.
She did?
Yeah, she's also put out a statement.
Well, let's get that in What's Poppin'. I want to hear what Carissa Thompson had to say about her silliness.
I don't know if the statement justifies what
And we'll play you again what she said. And we played it yesterday, and who said that? And we were like, what? She just admitted she makes stuff up?
Admitted that I make up stuff as a reporter.
I mean, we can all watch the major news channels and think, yeah, that's probably made up. But they don't say it.
They don't say it. Oh, if he said it was your opinion, because I think they sideline reporters can still give opinions.
Sure.
Just say your opinion. Don't say the coach said this.
Well,
Just don't
that's
say
been
that.
part of the problem in our media is like the blurring of what is news and what's entertainment, right?
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a news division, and we all can turn on these shows and understand there's a lot of opinion in here.
A lot of,
and it's entertainment. But so I'm not turning on that for news.
No.
But when you're going to the sidelines, you're trying to get some news.
I want the facts.
I want to know what's
coach
going on.
said, all right, so my coach said what? What my coach say? Like people pay attention to that stuff.
No question.
People say what Sark said at halftime. That's literally a topic of conversation on the shows for the next week. Sark at halftime said this. Think about it, that wasn't even factual. And I'm surprised at a coach, but I guess it hadn't been like she said she never said anything really controversial though, so it was all pretty, mundane. It was pretty obvious stuff. But man, that's a bold statement. That's bold. She's bold for that one. Dumb, but yeah.
Don't say that out loud.
Yeah, my mom used to always
say, if you do it.
She say, boy, you can think it. You ain't got to say it.
All right, Ty, before we go behind the burnt orange curtain, we'll hear that Carissa Thompson audio before we get out of here. But let's make our picks. Let's go 5-on-5. Do you have your first pick ready or you want me to go?
Let's
go.
go.
You go.
Me go. All right, well, I'm taking Georgia. I got the Georgia Dogs
like
getting
that.
-10 at Tennessee.
They got that dog.
I think they're going to pound them. Tennessee's not very good. I watched Missouri play Tennessee. I watched A&M play Tennessee.
Not good.
And now they're playing Georgia, and it's only 10. I know it's on the road, and it's in Knoxville. Dolly Parton's coming. I do like the baseball coach at Tennessee. He said, the Chiefs can keep Taylor Swift. We got Dolly.
They got Dolly, baby. Hey.
I'll take that.
For
But I
real.
will also take Georgia and lay the 10. Got to lay it to play it. I'll take the Bulldogs.
Okay.
You get 2 here, Ty.
I'll take Kansas State against Kansas -8.5.
Oh, dang, that's one of mine, but that's good. I like that pick.
Especially with the third-string quarterback out there.
Yeah, if Jason Bean doesn't play, I watched that third-string quarterback last week. He's not very good.
But
He's a freshman.
Who's third-string quarterback
I know.
is?
Well, that's right. We're probably redundant saying
Texas,
that.
maybe?
Maybe Arch Manning.
Good job, Ty.
I think Arch might struggle. I mean, freshman quarterback. He's a freshman from Indianapolis. He's going to struggle. All right, Ty, so you have K-State. Okay, what else? That's by the way, they're favored by how much now in your line at Kansas?
I wrote this down yesterday when I sent our guy Craig Flowers some picks, but I had it at 8.5. I don't know if it's changed since then.
It's -7.5. Same
Okay,
as Texas.
I'll take that. All right, cool.
Okay.
And then for my second pick, I'll take Army as a home underdog +3.5 with Coastal Carolina coming to town.
Ooh, the Chanticleers are rolling in to face the
Like
Cadets
that.
on the Black
Like
Knights of the
that.
Hudson. Army's a tough team, man.
Yeah, because you just don't you don't see teams like that on your schedule. So they're such an outlier that you got to change your entire practice when you face an Army.
Can I call my upset shot of the week, Ron?
Do it.
I'm doing this.
Let's do it.
Oregon State -1 at home to Washington. I think they beat the Huskies outright at home.
Whoa.
Yes.
Damn.
Calling the shot. Give me Oregon State. Oregon State's got a mad on because remember they're the team left out of this whole Pac-12 thing. They won the court battle this week, but they're mad at Oregon. They're mad at Washington for deserting them in the Great Northwest. It's only one. I think Oregon State. Washington's been kind of like Texas, playing on borrowed time.
They have played some really close games.
Including, closer, kind of like Texas, closer than it should be. I think it comes to an end, and I think the national apple cart gets upset a little bit because I'm taking the Beavers.
That'd be good for the Horns.
Always vote for the Beavers. -1. Pick 'em game, essentially.
You have 2 picks, right?
All right, Ty? Yes, I get 2 picks, so I am going to take I'm going to take that other Oregon school, Rod, because I think Oregon is hitting their stride right now. They're -23.5 at Arizona State, but I think they're going to roll that game. They are into style points, and they know they've got to put up style points, and they can do style points because they play great defense, and they can run the ball and throw it with Bo Nix. I think they run away with that game. Arizona State's not very good. They've taken some injuries now. They had a decent early start, but I think Oregon wallops Arizona State. I'm not afraid of the 23.5.
I like it.
Okay. I'll take the Fighting Mac Browns +7.5 going to Clemson this weekend.
Fighting Mac
North
Browns.
Carolina. Drake May's playing some good football right now. He really is. I mean, obviously he's a good quarterback, but I like that. What's the line there?
North Carolina +7.5
at Clemson. Wow, big number with Dabo. And Dabo and Mac Brown get to return engagements, right? Those two.
Oh yeah.
Dabo kind of fancied the program after him.
Mm-hmm. You did. He built that program in image,
image and likeness and all of that.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Ty. Anything? You both have 3 picks in, so I'll go my 4th. Now we're even.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State at Houston, Ron. I think Oklahoma State has a bounce-back game here.
Oh, yeah, that was ugly last week.
Now, Dana Holgorsen could be coaching for his job, but there are some already believe that their loss last week to Gosh, their ugly loss. They had an ugly loss to BY. No, who was it that beat them?
Who's up? Oklahoma State?
They beat Houston.
Oh, I don't watch Houston.
I can't remember.
No,
but Oak State, remember, had that laid an egg performance at Central Florida.
That was terrible.
But they're still in this mix, Rod.
Yeah, they got the inside track.
Yeah, they still can get to the Big 12 title game, but despite that disaster.
Yep.
And I think it's inside a touchdown. I'm going to take Oklahoma State. I think Ollie Gordon gets going again. And I think Houston, I don't know that they're going to play to save their coach's job. I'm going to go ahead and take Houston and lay the points.
Wait, you're taking Houston or Oklahoma State?
I'm taking Oak State.
Okay, I'll take Houston.
I got Oak State.
We'll go head-to-head on this one.
Head-to-head on that one.
Plus 6.5?
I like that.
Yes.
Yep.
And I got it minus 6.5. We went head-to-head last week, and I lost because I had Kansas and he had Texas Tech.
Oh, you had backup quarterback.
And then that quarterback is hurt, and I'm like, I'm done. And they still damn near won the game with the third-string guy against Tech, but damn near doesn't win you money. I'm just telling you that. You know what I'm saying?
You're damn right.
And I'm going to take this one. That's right. Damn near doesn't do much for you. You know what? Against my better judgment, Rod, I'm taking another favorite. I got the one underdog, the upset pick, but I'm taking the Cowboys.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, Cowboys actually against bad teams. They're pretty.
This is one of my death and taxes thing. I mean, we're coming in on Monday, and the Cowboys will have hammered a bad team. Now, minus the Arizona game.
Arizona's the only game.
I don't like that.
But I think that was the wake up call. I just don't. Carolina's not good, Rod. Frank Reich's retaking over the play calling.
Oh.
Micah Parsons didn't do much. I think he has a great game here. What don't you like about that, Ty?
Carolina's defense isn't. I'm not going to take it. No, I'm going to stay away from. Actually, my last pick will be an emotional pick, but I'm going to stay away from picking the Cowboys this week. What is it, 10.5 right now? I think that Carolina defense will probably keep it within 10. I think it will probably be that. If you want to buy the half point,
the Cowboys. I just think at this point, against a bad quarterback and a bad team, the Cowboys' defense and special teams is worth a touchdown.
And Dak is playing so well, too.
And Dak's playing a tree.
He's playing like lights out.
Hey, it's just in time for a Dak letdown.
That might come on Thanksgiving. I don't know, against Washington. Because the Cowboys are going to play 2 games in 4 days.
He's only going to let you down in a big game. Big games.
Ty, what do you have in your final pick? You said it's an emotional pick for you?
I'll take the Horns, minus 7.5.
Oh.
That is emotional.
Minus 7.5. Well, I'm going to take the other side of that, and I'll take Iowa State and lay the points. How about that? I will.
Yeah.
I've been listening to my guy. Have you been listening to Rod all week? He's been breaking it down scientifically. I think Texas wins inside a touchdown, but they win the game. But and anytime you see 7.5, that's a little concerning. That's one of those Vegas things.
And that no Jay Brooks out there worries me just about
me
the
too.
offense as a whole.
And I'll also add, but the thing I'm worried about is Quinn Ewers on a cold night with the shoulder. Does that tighten up at all? I think he's healthier than he's been, but I would lay those points. But Ty and I'll go head-to-head on that, and the Cowboys. We'll have fun. We'll grade ourselves on Monday. But my big upset is Oregon State. Washington comes in here with a loss on Monday. Right?
I hope so, but it'd be good for the Longhorns. But man, that offense, they can just score on anybody at any time, and they're so explosive. Nobody throws the ball deep better than Washington in the country.
Yeah, because Michael Penix is the real deal, and he's got great accuracy down the field. He's got 2 NFL receivers. Longhorns ran into that at the Alamo Bowl last year.
Yep.
Hey, Rod, let's get some behind the burnt orange curtain one more time. We got what's popping before the top of the hour, but let's hit a little more Texas talk on our way to to wrap up our fabulous 5th hour.
And they were all asking themselves the same question: what is behind that curtain?
All right. Let's hear from Steve Sarkisian while we got some time here. He met with the media during a Zoom media availability yesterday. He talked about the Iowa State Cyclones this weekend's matchup for the Longhorns. Let's hear him with his opening statement from yesterday, talking about the matchup versus the Cyclones this weekend.
Obviously, great opportunity for our team this Saturday night. Another road game, conference play at night on the road. Hostile environment. It's kind of been a common theme. I didn't do it by accident when I talked about what I talked about in preseason and at Big 12 Media Days of recognizing, that this is our opportunity to go on the road and go on a mission to try to win a Big 12 championship. And we've put ourselves in position to be competing for it in November. But we also understand when we go on the road, the environments that we're going into. And so I think for our players, it's really important that we continue to play with poise and composure. We need great leadership, and we need to execute the game at a high level. And I think that our players understand that. And I think that they've done a good job this week of preparing for that. I was really excited about just the way they practiced today. I mean, we had awesome energy. They were fast. And that's the style of game that we need to play. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and I know that our players are as well.
All right. Now, the players are definitely forward to the opportunity, and they may have been hyped up a little bit over the statement from the interior offensive lineman for the Iowa State Cyclones, Jared, I believe it's Hubbard. Is it Jared Hubbard? I still can't get his name correct. Hubbard?
Hufford.
Okay, Hufford.
We'll get to know him. Hopefully, Tavondre Sweat gets to know him a little bit on Saturday night.
That is the case. He made very controversial comments about Texas that became bulletin board material, went viral. By now, you've heard him. We played him on the show earlier this week. His Sark's comments when he was asked about those bulletin board comments from the Iowa State offensive lineman.
I view it in a sense of, the reality of it is, as much of that gets said kind of publicly week to week or not week to week, I think our players hear things, indirectly. And we try not to just put too much into that. We try to focus on our mission, and we've been on a mission since week 1. And that mission continues Saturday night. So we try to keep the focus on us. We try to be enamored with what we need to do to play the game at the level that we're capable of playing.
All right, let's start talking about the trash talk that took place. A little trash talk from the Iowa State side from one Jared Hufford, the offensive lineman. So there you go, a little Sark sound. Sark's not really concerned with the bulletin board material. He's going to tell us that, but I guarantee you behind the scenes, they've discussed it. They continue to discuss it, and it's a common topic.
I'm sure
around the locker room.
I'm certain Bo Davis has let the linemen know what was said.
Yeah,
because they heard it originally.
Yes.
But I'm sure Bo Davis hasn't stopped.
Yeah, like that guy needs more ammunition for great motivational pregame speeches. He does. He's gonna have another one, I guarantee, in this game. He had a great one for the TCU game too.
Well, this is one of the reasons I like Texas to win this game is that among the many reasons is Sark called Des Moines or Ames, Iowa, the scene of the crime yesterday. The scene of the crime. Saying that this is where the rubber met the road year one of who was in and who was out and our culture issues that we had. And Bo Davis's rant. We forget that someone on the team recorded that.
Yeah, it was wild.
Someone took their phone out and decided that was a good idea to record that and then get it out to people, which is where the program was at the time. So Sark called it scene of the crime. I think there's a lot of guys in that locker room, coaches too, that want to make amends for that performance. And the guy Jared Hufford just helped the cause, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He made Sark's job a whole lot easier. Sark is probably thanking the football guys that young man made that statement because this team probably had, I'm saying they were looking past Iowa State, but they probably weren't necessarily prioritizing focus during the Iowa State week, all right, in terms of making them their Super Bowl, right? This is Iowa State's Super Bowl. This is their biggest game of the season. Jared Hufford told you that. Other than the Iowa game, he said
they never beat Iowa.
They never beat Iowa. Matt Campbell's only beaten them once. He was like, other than the Iowa game, this is their Super Bowl. So you want to match that energy, match that intensity. That can be hard for Texas sometimes, considering they don't see Iowa State as being an equal of theirs. Well, now you have no problem matching intensity.
Agreed.
Because this guy just gave you the ammunition for it.
All right, we'll come back. I want to hear what Carissa Thompson's statement had to say. We'll let you hear her audio one more time. Also, what's popping. We know it's a busy popping weekend, without a doubt. We'll hit it coming back on Hook 'em Up.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I can pass that like Stockton. Just joshing. I'm spending this holiday locked in. My body got rid of them toxins. Sports in the top 10. I can put the ball in the end zone, put it back.
All right, what's poppin' is the weekend. It's here. Sun's out. Was foggy again this morning, but it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day into it's a big week here, Rod. We got the weekend, then it's Thanksgiving next week. It's a short week with family and friends, but temperatures in the 70s. Looking good. A little cloudy this weekend.
Ooh,
sun, though, looking great for Thanksgiving, by the way.
It looks like a beautiful day today.
Yeah,
so
looks
that would be a
good.
gorgeous
We'll
day
take
today.
it.
Got a little breeze out there. Oh, man, it's actually a nice breeze. You might be able to fly a kite today.
I like that.
Might be some kite flying weather for y'all out there. Trust me.
You know, we do the show right here from the South Austin Onion Creek Studios, and I can see the pin, the flag at the number 13 par 3.
It's just boom,
I can always
blowing
tell,
in the wind?
I can always tell which way the wind's blowing.
Oh.
Because this house faces
I like that.
due west.
Okay. So which way is the wind blowing?
Well, I got to see the flag. I'm sitting on the wrong side of this table here. I'll tell you what's popping.
Oh, you ain't got to. You don't have to do it.
I can do it. It's got to move right here. I can move around the table. The flag is blowing. Oh, it's coming out of the south. Going south,
there you
south
go.
to north, Rod.
Well, it's a nice breeze outside.
Yeah, coming out of the south. That's why the fog was here and it's humid this morning. But yeah, I can always look at that. It's like my little weather vane. I can see the flag and I can tell which way the wind's blowing.
It's legit.
Yeah, because you're looking west, due west. Behind you is east, and that would be north. So.
Okay. Yeah, man. I like this spot. Dude, he spotted a buck this morning.
Yeah, a big old deer running around.
Strolling across his
I went
backyard.
went out to the kitchen and got our backyard. There was this big old buck, like walking right down the cart path.
Like just confidently. Well, that's how you know they know they're safe here.
Yeah.
They're just confident, walking, kicking it.
You know, Onion Creek itself, the creek, where it kind of winds around from front and then around the back of our house, and yeah, they're all over the place, man. Deer everywhere.
Yes. Every time I drive in at night, I got to drive extra slow with the brights on.
Yes.
Because they're just like strolling across the street, the family kicking it, people's yards in the morning.
Well, and
I like this spot.
It is a good spot. We appreciate it. We like doing it here. It's fun and ties back at the home headquarters, and hopefully we can rectify that here soon enough to get back in-house. But until then, we get to hang out here, which is fine.
Not bad.
So, Rod, but if you play golf, you want to know which way the wind's blowing. Then you know how gusty the wind is blowing. That's important when you head out there. Like, what am I dealing with here?
See, I'm not a golfer. I wouldn't know that.
What type of game we got to have today? Keep it down and low, keep it low and slow because the wind's up, or are we going to be able to?
Oh, because if you get it too high up and the wind gets caught up, it goes all kind of places.
Any spin. By the way, speaking of physics and those kind of things.
That's what Quinn has to do that before the game.
That's right.
Quarterback's got to go out there before the game.
Kickers got to do that.
Yeah, throw some grass up in there and be like, all right, wind's going.
By the way, we're talking about the Formula One mess. This says F1 cars are known for their prodigious downforce that far exceeds the weight when driving triple-digit speeds. In theory, it will allow an F1 car to drive upside down at high speed. And now we're talking about the manhole cover that popped up.
Damn.
I mean, the suction, the downforces. You got to keep that thing on the ground.
Man, that is some crazy G-forces going on there. That's wild.
Unbelievable. To learn, if you learn to go deep, do one of your rabbit holes on like the physics of these race cars.
Oh yeah, because I bet they do it when what's the name of the show that went with the F1?
Drive to Survive.
I bet they do it on there in one of their episodes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but they break that down.
I mean, those engines are so powerful. I mean, they're jet engines.
Yeah.
So you fly with them.
They probably should do. Remember, they used to do the sports science stuff, and they do like with football players and like baseball players and stuff. They should probably do that with.
I think they do a lot of that in the F1 race.
Do they? Yeah, just kind of show you about.
Well, that's part of the fascination of the whole thing.
Yeah,
and that's what's cool. You get to know these drivers, and they're essentially jet pilots. I mean, they're flying.
Oh, there's no doubt.
It's unbelievable.
The reaction time's got to be just
unreal.
Next level. Yeah. Talk about that. I want to see their S2 cognition test.
Yeah.
What's some cognition test for them
quarterbacks, right?
Come on,
that's
man.
moving fast.
For real.
Hey, well, now you're driving through the strip.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see that sphere. You're like, what?
Yeah, that's going to be cool. What are they going to put on that sphere when them guys are
You're
driving?
just looking tunnel vision. Hey, so you mentioned Carissa Thompson put out a statement today.
She did.
This is kind of popping. Can we play Carissa Thompson, Ty? Carissa Thompson was on a show on one of the Barstool shows. And she's, she does Fox Studio now, but she's been a sideline reporter before. And she had this to say about sometimes she just have to wing it a little bit once she's on the sidelines.
It, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late. And I was like, I didn't want to screw up the report. So I was like, I'm just going to make this up because first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to be better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball over.
The quarterback.
We need, exactly. And do a better job of getting off the field. Like, they're not going to correct me on that.
Right.
So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
and she put on Instagram, okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I have a responsibility to myself and my employers to clarify what is being reported. When on a podcast this week, I said I would make up reports early in my career when I worked as a sideline reporter. Before I transitioned to my current host role, working in media, I understand how important words are, and I chose the wrong words to describe that situation. I'm sorry. I've never lied about anything or been unethical during my time as a sports broadcaster. She went on to say, in the absence of a coach providing any information that could further my report, I would use information that I learned and saw during the first half to create my report.
There you go. Thank you, Carissa.
Yeah, thank you, Carissa. Yeah, you chose
fired.
poorly. You're still fired.
All right, good luck to all the Texas high school and area high school teams playing tonight. Second round action. Westlake and Lake Travis are down there near San Antonio. One at Bobcat Stadium, one at Matador Stadium in Seguin. McNeil's playing Cibolo Steel. Dripping Springs playing tomorrow afternoon against Judson. Cedar Park's making Angleton. The LBJ and Waco ISD Stadium take on Huntsville. And how about the Crockett Cougars, Rod? They're going to play Montgomery, Lake Creek, and Giddings.
Hey, Crockett, okay.
Crockett won their first Crockett won their first playoff game since 1994.
That sounds about right.
Last week.
Yeah, that's crazy. Good for you, Crockett.
Go Cougs. Hey, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be with you tomorrow at 5 o'clock on our pregame show, getting ready for Texas, Iowa State, all the way to the 7 o'clock kickoff. So come on with us for that. We'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m.